Good morning. Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to this meeting of the Drainage District Board of Directors for today, July the 21st, 2015. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in a prayer.
Good morning. Judge, let's bow our heads. Father God, we give you thanks for another day that you've given us. We thank you for the many blessings that you bring in our lives, Lord. We ask that you continue to give us wisdom when decisions need to be made, Lord. Give wisdom to the selected officials, the judge, and the 4 commissioners, Lord. Give wisdom to myself, Lord, as I lead my department, and wisdom to all the department heads and the workers as well. They may perform the work as they are working for you, Lord. I ask all this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Did anyone sign up under open forum? Okay, then we move on to our consent agenda. Any concerns?
No concerns, Judge.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 5.
Discussion on Delaware County Drainage District Number 1 drainage projects, maintenance, and operations. Just still continuing on developing some projects in-house and also through our consultants. We do have some projects that are currently being bid out, which is the Hohen Drainage Area Project and the Bandera Area Drainage Project, which is two of the areas that were heavy hit during the recent events that we've had. We're also working on identifying other areas that were affected and developing some type of either in-house or through consultant plans to be able to address those areas that were flooded. So we're also working on evaluating our current staff and equipment needs and continue to see what we need to do to either expand or provide better operational services out there. So I'll be briefing the court more detail on that in the near future.
Raul,
Yes, sir.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
On that Peñitas Alpha,
Yes, sir.
did we come into agreement where we're going to get the monies for?
We've been looking at that, Commissioner, and one of the ideas that may be out there we'll be visiting is looking at probably trying to get some funding through the current monies that you're looking for expansion for the projects that you're looking through the county.
Yeah.
For the excavation, and then looking at the district, seeing what we need to do in the future, perhaps looking at buying assets like we have in the
So
past.
in other words, it'll be reimbursable to the county from
Of
the
course,
district.
yeah, it's something that we've done with other precincts when excavation projects are initiated by the county. We can later look at the possibility of taking that over. Obviously, if it's a drainage facility, yes, sir. We've done that in other precincts.
It'd be about $2.5 million?
That's, I believe, the number that we've been estimating. Yes, sir.
That one, thanks.
Yes, sir. Any other questions or anything?
And let's move on to item 6.
Okay, great. At this time, legal counsel is requesting no action on item 6, so we will, no action on item 6, Judge.
All right.
If I may, item 7.
Item 7.
7A, approval of closing documents. On this one, it'll be only parcel 52. There will be no approval for 47 or 24 in relation to J09 drainage project.
Move for approval on number 7 for only parcel
52.
number 52.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, request approval of manual checks to be issued for the completion of the acquisition transaction.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8, request approval to issue payment to Inland Pipe Rehab South Central, IPR South Central, in the amount of $280,002.24 for the request for payment application number 8, retainage release revised for construction contract number TP0713, Rado Drain Storm Sewer Rehab by Trenchless Method. Project engineer Mellon Hunt, Inc. Everything's in order.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, request approval to accept certificate of construction completion for Inland Pipe Rehab South Central, IPR South Central, for construction contract number TP0713, Rado Drain Storm Sewer Rehab by Trenchless Method. Project engineer Mellon Hunt. Everything's in order.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 9, request approval for a tranche lease in the amount of $31,174.90 to RDH Site and Concrete LLC, related to construction contract ACDD 1 14-010-0409 Precinct 2 Seminole Valley Subdivision Area Drainage Improvement Project Engineer Argo Tierras Engineering Corp.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 10, request approval to issue payment on the following items that have met audit requirements. Application for payment number 1 in the amount of $166,608.72 to Go Underground LLC related to construction contract HCDD 1-14-031-1202, Precinct 1, Spanish Palm Subdivision, project engineer, Tedzi Infrastructure Group.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Request approval change order number 1 to Texas Cordia LLC in the amount of $58,000. Just for the record, we had posted $56,101.78, but as a correction, it should be $58,101.78. Related construction contract number ACDD 1-14-008-0708, Precinct 2 Alamo Expressway Drain. Project engineer, Dos Logistics, PO 625452. We have reviewed the request and everything's in order.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, request approval of notice to suspend the Texas Cordia LLC related to construction contract ACDD 1-14-008-0708, Precinct 2 Alamo Drain. Suspension is required due to the lead time required to manufacture 2 sluice gates S4000 from Waterman Industries to comply with IBWC requests on AWA C5607 standards. This is just a typical delay that we have on getting the proper gates delivered to the site. Once we get those, once we receive those, the way we're doing the stop work order is to the suspension of time is to authorize myself, the general manager, to issue the notice to resume as soon as we confirm that we've received all the proper material, and they'll come from my office. We'll coordinate with the engineer of record, and obviously we'll send it in writing to the contractor and the engineer to say the time starts again. We found that's probably the best way to handle this. That way we control when they stop and start again. If I may have the authority to do that, also to issue the resume
Those
notice.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 12 would be request approval to issue payment on the following items. Review and audit process have been completed. There'll be retainage release in the amount of $14,610 to Foremost Paving, Inc. related to construction contract ACDD 1-14-003-02-05, Precinct 4 area, West Main Drain, project engineer Guzman and Munoz Engineering.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Request approval to accept certificate of construction completion from the Foremost Paving, Inc. related to construction contract ACDD 1-14-003-02-05, Precinct 4 area, West Main Drain, project engineer Guzman and Munoz.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 13, request approval to issue payment as a claim to the following items related to incident report dated 6/5/15, Mercedes PD case number 1509537, damage to telephone line and electric lines at West Liberty Street and Patricia Street, Mercedes, Texas. A would be AEP claim number C201-56777-6SA, American Electric Power Company for $11,864. And B would be Phoenix claim number 159015786, Phoenix Loss Control, $4,759.49. One of our operators was working in the area, did not see, as it was a small power line that was in the way. There was no safety issue that happened. As a result of that, there was some damage to the pole, and this, the cost to repair the pole and the telephone line for that.
Move for approval.
Second. So it's about 16 grand for both?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And these were, again, they were bills that were sent to us from the actual companies themselves. They did the work themselves. Item 14, request approval to create slot number 17 from District Administration budget for accounting supervisor position, set salary at $60,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Request approval to create slots 107 through 116 from District M&O budget for 10 truck drivers position, and set salaries at $30,343 each.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item C, budget amendment, approval of budget amendment to fund positions noted in items 1 and 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 15, in accordance with Section 791014 of the Texas Government Code, approve an interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 and Hidalgo County, Texas, to assist county right-of-way acquisition services for the Precinct 2 Regional Linear Park project. District participates in the amount of $157,533.52 from District General Fund aid to other governments. I just want to make a clarification on that. What we need to do is, we need to develop the interlocal. We were trying to use the current interlocal that we had with the county on the services that we pay for right-of-way, but that's more geared towards in-house right-of-way services the county provides to the district. So we're working with legal counsel to develop this interlocal that will allow the district to participate with this linear park, which is part of our drainage ditch right-of-way that's being conducted. So the district has a vested interest in it as well to get that work done. We had already, the board had already approved this. We're just now we're looking at approving the interlocal, so I'd like to get the approval of the subject to on this item, and we'll
for
bring the
approval.
interlocal back forward.
Move for approval, subject to.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, and the requested budget amendment in the amount of $74,000 of this general fund into aid to other government accounts to supplement the current available funds for the participation of the above-mentioned interlocal.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 16, request exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4 for the provisions of professional engineering services required for preliminary site characterization, abandoned rifle, handgun firing range located in Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 yard, northeast of East Richardson and North Doolittle Road.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, presentation of scoring grid for the firms graded and evaluated through the district's pool of pre-qualified professional engineers for the purpose of ranking by the board in connection with the professional engineering services required for preliminary site characterization, abandonment, rifle, handgun firing range located at the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 yard, northeast of East Richardson Road and North Doolittle Road. If I may, for the record, the firms that were ranked was Half and Associates, Inc. at a score of 94, Naismith Engineering at a score of 92, and Cruz Hogan Consultants at a score of 91. If it's the board wishes, I can rank them as such.
Yeah, move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, pursuant to the board approval, the request authority of Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 to negotiate professional engineering service agreement with number 1 ranked firm of Half and Associates, Inc. for the provision of professional engineering services for preliminary site characterization, abandonment rifle, handgun firing range located in Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 yard, northeast of East Richardson and North Doolittle Road.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 17, requesting approval to enter into a 48-month lease agreement with Dahil through the district membership with Choice Partners Contract Number 13/0151DG02 for one Epson Sure Color Plotter, $343 a month to include training, 1 set of ink, 36 and 44 roll plot, paper, and service throughout the lease period.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 18, requesting approval of wireless voice data service equipment through Verizon District membership with Texas Department of Information Resources Contract DR SCD 1779 for the following phones. This is first providing service to phones to our supervisors out in the field that we stay in constant communication with, also during emergencies. They're the first responders that we reach out to, so these phones will provide our supervisors with mobile access.
Motion for approval.
Second.
It's 9, right? Yeah.
Those in favor, say aye.
Yes, sir.
Aye, motion carries.
Yes, sir. It is 9 phones. Yes, sir. You're correct. Thank you. Item 19, discussion possible action on tax resale and private bids received on properties. Ms. Briones? Who's making the presentation? Oh, come on in, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, please.
Good morning, Judge, Honorable Commissioners. Gus Martinez, attorney, Lambert-Goggin. We did have 2 resales, one in February, one in June. Resales are properties that have been that we've tried to sell before at least twice. So now we take the highest bid, and we bring to you for consideration of accepting or having us try again. In that big folder before you see a list of 78 properties throughout the county. Now, 69 of these were done at auction. The last 9 were a private bid from the city of Mercedes. It's my understanding that they're doing some type of housing development, but I can't speak beyond that. But if approved, this will generate for the drainage district approximately $21,000. But it'll put $2.8 million back on on the assessed tax rate. We can go into this one at a time, or I can answer any questions you have regarding this resale.
Move for approval. You need action on this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we do.
Second.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I thank you very kindly, sir.
Discussion and possible action on resolution for tax resale on private bid properties.
You need action on that one?
Need an action on that one, too, I guess, on the resolution.
Yeah,
Move for approval.
Second.
What's the difference?
Yes, sir, Judge. The resolution is essentially notice to the public that these sales are conducted and are done at the highest bid instead of
Okay.
full price being paid.
All right, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Judge and Commissioners, I do have a couple items in closed session.
Under what, sir?
Under real estate acquisition, sir.
Pursuant of 551-071 and 072, I need a motion to proceed to executive session.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're going to be in executive session for a short while. All right, we're back in open session.
Yes, sir, just for the record, Judge, I'll proceed as directed by the board on real estate acquisition on the two parcels.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
That it?
I don't have any other
Motion
issues.
adjourned.
So move.
Second?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And at this time, we're going to convene our regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court for today, July the 21st, 2015. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we come together today for the good of the citizens of Hidalgo County. Give us your wisdom as we make decisions that will affect them today and in the years to come. Help us to work well together, recognizing that each of us are here because we want what is best for Hidalgo County. We ask for your blessings and your guidance. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Our consent agenda, Mr. Eufrasio, any concerns?
None from this side, Judge. I don't know if anybody else has any concerns. You, Commissioner? No?
Move for approval.
Alde? You got any concerns on the consent?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6A. And this morning, we have present with us Miss Texas USA 2015, Miss Ileana Guerra, who is very capable with us. And we also have her parents, Mr. Carlos Guerra and Mr. and Mrs. Carlos Guerra.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. On the agenda, item 6A is a resolution honoring Miss Texas USA, Ileana Guerra. We have a video that we're going to show, and then we'll go ahead and proceed.
Ileana Guerra, 22, McAllen, Texas!
The first spot in the top 15 is for Texas.
Hi, I'm Ileana Guerra. I'm 22 years old, and I'm Miss Texas USA. I've danced everything from ballet, tap, jazz, flamenco, salsa, tango. I started dancing when I was 2 years old. I went to the Nutcracker. I said, "Mommy, that's what I want to do." This is my mom. She and I love cooking and love baking.
She loves to make rose infused.
That's why they have roses on them. It's a really good time for me and her to bond when we're in the kitchen.
Miss Texas USA.
Texas!
Talk about leadership. This 22-year-old was her high school's class president.
Texas.
White hot. The back of this dress is working overtime. All of those crystals just sparkling in the light.
Texas!
My question to you. Last year, CEOs in the United States made around 300 times as much as the average worker's salary. Should the government impose boundaries on salaries of executives?
That's a very good question. You know, I think that if you work hard enough, you can attain anything. This is the land of opportunity, and CEOs, I believe that they work hard enough for their money, so I think that they should be able to attain whatever it is that they are working for. Thank you. Thank you.
Texas. It has been announced that in the year 2020, a woman will appear on the $10 bill. Which American woman would you like to see on the first printing of the bill, and why?
That's a very good question. On the bills that we have right now, they are all of presidents, and so I think we should just wait until the upcoming election. We have a both Republican and Democratic candidate running for president, and so I think we should just wait and see.
Thank you,
Thank
Texas.
you.
2015.
If for any reason the new Miss USA cannot fulfill her duties, the first runner-up will take over.
Oklahoma! Which means the first runner-up is Texas.
And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while. 'Cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you are.
Miss Guerra won the hearts of America and showed grace, intelligence, and honor during the Miss USA pageant on July 12th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where she was selected first runner-up. Ileana is the first Miss Texas USA from Hidalgo County since 1966. She was born and raised in McAllen and is the daughter of Carlos L. and Idma Guerra and has a sister named Isabella. As you all know, this year's pageant was racked in controversy that caused many sponsors to pull out. However, Ileana showed great determination and spirit, vowing not to let down her state or her fellow contestants by quitting. Her academic excellence, volunteer work, and commitment to herself, her family, and her community make her an outstanding role model. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby honors Ileana Guerra for her generous spirit, academic excellence, and achievement in the Miss USA pageants, and commends her for showing the world the honor and pride of the people of the Rio Grande Valley and the state of Texas, dated this 21st day of July, 2015.
Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I would like to start out by saying thank you to Judge Ramon Garcia and the county commissioners. And I especially want to thank my mom, my dad, my sister Isabella, who have sacrificed so much time and effort to help me fulfill my dreams. I'm so grateful to everyone who supported me on my journey to Miss USA. It is an honor to be the first Miss Texas USA from the Rio Grande Valley since the 1960s, and a great privilege to have represented all Texans, Latinos, and especially all the people of the Rio Grande Valley at Miss USA. Our community has given me the strong foundation needed to follow my dreams. My goal at Miss USA was to empower and inspire others around the U.S., but especially the people of the Valley, to follow their dreams and dream big, because there is no ceiling to success. I hope I represented the spirit of this wonderful community and showed the world that we are not quitters, we are fighters, and we will rise up no matter what obstacles may come our way. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want him just for the three of you and then this? Okay. 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 And now the parents? Jackie, and then we're going to do one with the whole family after.
Well, thank you again for the honor of giving us the opportunity to acknowledge you for your accomplishments. I know that we're still very proud of what you were able to accomplish. And God bless. All right, under our district attorney's office, sitting at item 7A.
Public comments or no?
Good morning, Commissioners. Rosalinda Cantu, presenting for the DA's office. Appropriation of funds in the amount of $30,000 to fund the purchase of uniforms and equipment for law enforcement personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, we do have an open forum. I do have a list, if I may.
All right, well, go ahead. We'll move
I actually
move
have-
back to item number 5, open forum. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge. I actually have two individuals with the same or header, so I don't know if it's on the same subject matter, but I have a Nelly Curell on the pilot program.
Hi. Buenos días. Buenos días, señores comisionados. Mi nombre es Nelly Curiel. Vengo de la colonia Gulli-Meros, en Dona. Vengo representando a mi colonia. Vengo representando a las colonias que aún no tienen luz pública. Mi propósito este día es decirles que hemos trabajado muy duro en las colonias para recolectar las peticiones, las firmas que son necesarias para el programa piloto. Hemos hecho nuestro trabajo de nuestra parte para tener este programa. Queremos, ¿verdad?, que por favor hagan su parte, que como sabemos en enero tuvimos la oportunidad de hablar con ustedes y como recordamos, dijeron que en 90 días tendrían una respuesta para saber cómo se iba a hacer la colecta de dinero, el sistema de dinero. Aún no tenemos esa respuesta, ¿verdad? Y yo les pido de favor que por favor pongan de su parte, de un esfuerzo, ¿verdad?, para que ya las colonias que se pueden beneficiar de tener luz ya estén a la puerta, ¿verdad?, de salir de la oscuridad. También sabemos que hace 2 meses atrás se hacían unas juntas, que se llevaban a cabo las juntas para saber sobre el sistema de recolección y que ya no se están haciendo. Por favor, les pido que lo retomen en cuenta, por favor. Es muy triste saber que cada día que pasa, una colonia corre riesgo por no tener luz pública, por estar en la inseguridad. Muchas gracias, señores comisionados.
I'm going to just, I know that you all understand what she was saying, but her name is Nelly Curiel. She comes from Gulli-Meros and Precinct 1. And she's saying that in January, you all said that we're going to have a response in 3 months, in 90 days, and we're still waiting. They have done the work, they have picked up the petitions, they have done everything that they're supposed to be doing. They have a lot of questions that they're not happening. We used to be meeting together with the organizations Arise and Lupe, but those meetings stopped, and we haven't renewed those meetings. And you don't need to do part as commissioners to renew those meetings because we are not getting anywhere. People are ready to pay. And so we're ready. She's asking you as a favor to retake those meetings come back to the meeting so we can address the issues that are still pending, and so the pilot program can continue to move forward. She said that it's very sad that every day there's colonias with insecurity just because you haven't moved forward with this issue. So this is what Nelly said, and I'm going to say what I need to say because I also have a few minutes. Last week, a lot of the members in our colonias did some phone calls to your offices. The response that they got is that we have to respond to those questions. We don't have to respond to those questions. Lupe or Rice do not have a response because you haven't met. The response to those questions are going to come from your offices, not from Lupe and Rice. We have a lot of questions the community is asking, and the people are getting very impatient. If we don't get a response from meetings from this coming week, next in 2 weeks, the people are going to come and put the money right on top of that desk and see what you're going to do because they're ready to pay, and we're really losing patience. People are really losing patience. And when the people called, they made 100, I think it was about 100 calls last week, and people said, well, call Lupe and Rice. Well, Lupe and Rice do not have answers. The answers need to come from you offices, and we don't need to have the commissioners there. We need to have people with authority to make decisions on how are we going to proceed with this pilot program. Because, as I said, people are getting very impatient, and people already will have the money to pay you. But there is no, you haven't decided where they're going to take it. And so, in 2 weeks, people will come with the money and get put right on top of your desk. So we'll figure it out whether we're going to have, right now, Lupe, Rice, and you are here. And so we need to hear when is this meeting are going to be happening soon. Or in 2 weeks, you see that the people here, this place will be full of people from the colonias, for the colonias pilot programs, and the money will be taken here to you. And since we can't figure it out, then that's where we need to come, because people are really losing patience. So thank you so much.
We have Marta Sanchez.
That was her.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was Marta. Okay. Ms. McClarty, Fern?
Commissioners, last week we attended a presentation concerning the proposed courthouse. The purpose of the presentation was to suggest that downsizing the building from a 10 to a 6-story and reducing the cost of $150 million would make the project more acceptable to the public. First of all, you do not seem to understand that the people do not want any more tax increases. No more special projects, increased fees, wonderful opportunities to make great deals to improve the county economy. Second, we do not believe anything that you say. Isn't it true that you said that you would not raise taxes? There would be no tax increase during my administration. Isn't that what you said? This week, the newspaper is reporting that the county will raise taxes. The County Commissioners Court is supporting the health care bill that has the potential of increasing taxes by 40%. And the only response is, oh, it will never go that high. The initial cost estimated for the building a courthouse was $178 million if it was constructed in 2017. This estimate does not include the 30-year financing fee for the loan that would bring the cost up to $320 million. In the same manner, a courthouse valued at $150 million would bring in a cost of $228 million. This is just the building. It does not include additional staff and furnishings. And the last among many items that are increasing our tax burden on the property value increases by the appraisal district. 10 to 15% a year are typical. That translates into a 25 to 30% property value increase. The director came to the Commissioners Court and stated the average is 5%. That's on your homestead. This court has become the most out-of-control spending machine in our history. If you can't pass a tax increase, you create a fee, give tax abatement, or go out for loans. All of these actions increase the poverty condition of the population that already has 35% of the people living below poverty. You are responsible for making people homeless because they cannot pay the taxes that you are creating. and also in this courthouse, instead of doing it behind the scenes with these fees, which there's not a chance in the world that that's going to pay for this courthouse, why don't you let the voters vote? You always say, let the voters have their opinion. Or let's put it out there that whether the people want a new courthouse. You were always saying that you're going to let the people vote on the healthcare district. Well, we already voted that down. Let's let the people vote for your new courthouse, whether it's needed or not, burden them a little more. Thank you.
And Chief Saldana.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. A brief overview of what is transpiring with this event from the flooding from the May-June incident. Tomorrow morning, we will be meeting with FEMA and the state representatives regarding the public assistance program, see where we're going to be able to recoup some of our costs back from this task. Now I have two representatives from FEMA to give you a brief overview of the Disaster Recovery Center. Those are the group that is assisting the public in Hidalgo County for individual assistance. We have the Public Affairs Officer, Alberto, and Gladys, which is the Field Operations Supervisor.
Good morning, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to address you. We represent the Disaster Survivor Assistance for FEMA. We're assigned here to Hidalgo County, and our teams, we have 4 teams out in the community, making sure that your residents understand the appeal process, the registration process, and any unmet needs that they may have. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. Senor Garcia, finally to meet you. It's my honor to get the opportunity to speak with you now and the community. I'm the Public Affairs Officer here attached to Hidalgo County. So far for the state, we have 42 counties were declared for a total over $42 million have been already approved for the state. Here in Hidalgo County, we've already been approved $2 million of that 42. The numbers are still coming in. We encourage the residents of Hidalgo County to still register. Our deadline has been extended to August 27th. We encourage all those families that had damage. If you know of anybody, if they know residents that are still needing assistance, that our deadline has been extended, and the recovery center is still open. We're averaging around 50 people come there daily. At the beginning, we're over the hundreds, now over 50. We've hit the media very hard. I know the Spanish media has been very cooperative. Channel 4 or 5 have been in the news, and the press as well. So we want to thank the county, Mr. Saldana and his group, in the support.
The latest registrations.
Right, the latest we're with 3,500 here in Hidalgo County, so the numbers are still growing on a daily basis. So thank you very much. Remember, the Recovery Center, we're open from Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays from 9 to 2. We're closed on Sundays. And we'll be here as long as this county and the state needs us to assist the residents of Hidalgo County.
And the extension, you said, was until August 27th?
27th to register with FEMA. And remember, the Recovery Center will still be there as long as the need is there, as long as the county needs us there. They're the ones that determine how long we're going to be there. So it's a one-stop center. We encourage everybody to go there. Questions, information, we have the state officials, we have county officials, we have FEMA there. Any type of assistance that they need, they go there. And if they need to register there, we have phones ready there to register also.
All right.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions, Judge.
Excuse me?
Well, go ahead.
Just a couple of questions. I understand that $2 million has been approved, but how much has been actually filed? And what my concern is on denials. Do you have numbers as to how many people have applied and how many people have been denied?
Well, like I said, we base it on county numbers. Over 3,500 applications have been put into the Hidalgo County. Of that 2 million, it's really hard to know how much has been approved individually. It's on a case-by-case situation. There's still cases that are being appeal cases right now. This is the phase of the appeal, which is probably the hardest phase right now is the appeal process. People that felt that were denied or ineligible. We encourage them to go to the recovery center. We feel that a lot of the families that receive letters, they tend to close their case because of a letter, and we're encouraging not to do that because there's an appeal process. There's a 60-day appeal process once they receive that letter, that they could go back to the recovery center and look at their case. It could be as simple as a documentation that was missing, an insurance information that's missing. Remember, we don't duplicate benefits. We have to know what the insurance took care of first, if they're a homeowner, and before they make any determination of any eligibility. So a lot of those cases can be appealed. We just need the people to go to the recovery center to appeal those cases.
But can we have a contact person as to why a lot of the claims are being denied so that these people can be better prepared when they go? And so that they know that more than likely, if you're denied, I mean, to say that you can appeal, but when they appeal, are they going to have an opportunity to get approved?
Correct, yes. Once they get denied the letter of denied or ineligible, you come to the recovery center, you speak to a one-on-one person. They will read you what the determination was. An inspector goes to your property and they inspect your home to see what you were eligible for, what damages you had. But a lot of the time, sometimes missing as an insurance form. If you're a homeowner, basically, if you don't have flood insurance, but they need a determination from the insurance company to let you know that you were ineligible, so you bring that back to FEMA, so you kick in back into the grant program. Also, it could be your SBA form. You have to fill out that SBA form, the Small Business Administration Disaster Loan Program. They need you to fill out that to continue with the grant program.
Who's the contact person?
The recovery center would be the best place to go.
Just wait in line and talk to one of the persons that's handling the claims?
Right.
There's not a main contact person that's up to date on?
Or you could call the 800 number and speak to a representative on the 1-800-621-3362, and they can speak to you about your case on phone too also.
I will work on that, Commissioner, and get you that information, either you or...
But I'm sure a lot of these people don't even have insurance, and so how do you prove that you don't have insurance?
Well, once they register, they tell the registration person they don't have insurance.
That's it, and it's
Like
accepted at that point?
At that process, correct.
Okay, yes. Okay.
If I may say that's what our teams are doing out in the field, is clarifying this kind of information. Sometimes when the survivor makes the phone call, they're still under stress, they don't answer the questions correctly, they may not understand what the question is about, so the information is incorrect. They have an opportunity to correct that, and that's what we're in the field for.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Judge, item 8.
All right, item 8 are constables.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Today,
Morning.
Constable Precinct 3, 1257, approval of the 2015 appropriation of funds from the U.S. Treasury Equitable Sharing Fund, 1257, for Constable Precinct 3 in the amount of $10,092.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Morning. Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County. And on behalf of our Sheriff, Eddie Guerra, we're under item 9A, is Operation Stone Garden through our 1284 count. Just authorization to deobligate the remaining amounts in the 11 of the participating agencies and transferring the amounts to the 2013 Operation Stone Garden Sheriff's Office grant budget. They're listed from A to K. There's Precinct 1, Precinct 3, 4, Alamodana, Hidalgo, La Jolla, Mission, FAR, San Juan, and Weslaco.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Nothing further. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Item 10, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. I'm going to skip around a little bit on item 10. I want to take Constable.
Rick's gonna like this one.
Oh, Judge, I apologize. Is that it? Yeah, Constable.
I didn't see, I don't see anything.
We have Constable Gaitan here. Judge, could we go to 11C, Constable Precinct 4? 11C.
All right, go ahead.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm here on CA 1-50351. That is requesting waiver of the budget amendment policy personnel related amendments. Discussion, consideration, approval to create one temporary full-time position not to exceed December 31st of this year, effective next full day pay period of 7/27 of 2015.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So that action was item 1 and 2. And so the 3 and 4 would be the interdepartmental transfer and the revised salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Judge Commissioners.
Can I
Thank
ask you, though, did this have the effect of, oh, okay, no, I see it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Moving
All
back,
right,
okay.
let's go back to item 10.
Item 10, Judge Commissioners, I want to take item 10C first. I have appointment of Civil Service Commission Chairman as per Texas Local Government Code Section 158.008A. I have Mercedes in the audience. Ms. Espinosa. And she is accompanied by Ms.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I have with me here Michelle Rabinovich. She is one of the commissioners serving on the Hidalgo County Civil Service Commission at this, presently. We're in the need of a chairperson being appointed by the Commissioners Court in accordance with Local Government Code, Chapter 158. Ms. Rabinovich has agreed, if you would graciously appoint her to take the duties on as chairperson.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is that what the statute says?
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right.
The Commissioners Court appoints the chairperson.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for your service, ma'am.
Thank you.
Judge, moving on, item 10A is a presentation, discussion, and consideration and action if necessary, including but not limited to the following, which is the renovations of the former administration building. Judge, Commissioners, with that being said, I'm going to ask Marty to come up to the podium. I want to go to item 22A2A, B, and C, which is related to this renovations update. So if I may, 22A2, Marty?
Yes, sir. Let me just get to it. We're requesting approval of the request for...
A2, start with 2.
Oh, A2, I'm sorry. Acceptance and approval of certificate of substantial completion from contractor D. Wilson Construction reflecting the date of May 26, 2015 for the repairs and renovations of first and second floors to the former administration building as submitted and certified by the project architect Alcocer Garcia and Associates.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion
one.
carries.
B and C.
B is approval of request for payment, application 19, final and partial retainage in the amount of $148,866.10 from D. Wilson Construction, awarded contractor for the repairs and renovations of first and second floors, as certified by the project architect, Alcocer Garcia Associates, and as reviewed and initialed by the construction manager, Prodigy.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C is acceptance and approval of invoice number 1153, final in the amount of, and there's a correction, $5,276.70, not 98, submitted by contracted vendor Prodigy Construction Management for the provision of construction management services for the same project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
One, not application 18.
Yes, I'm sorry, and do 1 as well.
A1, going back, approval of request for payment, application 18, in the amount of $109,158.30 from D. Wilson Construction, awarded contractor for the repairs and renovations of the project we have been dealing with, and is certified for payment by project architect and construction management.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, with that action taken, we will commence to start the process of moving, or transferring over the personnel, moving the personnel over to the offices. We preliminary started last week preparing for this move. We did some work yesterday. We will be moving over County Judge's office. We've already made the appropriate notifications to our vendor with respect to the lease for the County Judge's office, letting them know that we will be vacating We've given them a date. We'll be starting to transfer again all the equipment.
You've notified
Yes, sir.
the owner?
We've
the lessor?
notified, yes, sir. We've notified the owner, so in compliance with our lease agreement. We'll be moving over the furniture and equipment, as well as the staff this week. I will be getting together with Honorable Ricardo Rodriguez, our district attorney, with that transition of the personnel, equipment, and files and whatnot over to their area from the courthouse. So with that being said, I'd like to go to item B, 10B. Judge Commissioners, I'm asking the court, we mentioned this last court session, acceptance of donation of services provided in the total amount of $49,400 from Commissioner Joe Flores in connection with the hauling of rainwater due to recent floods. Judge Commissioners, as we talked about at our last session, the Commissioner was gracious enough to help us out with respect to the issue we had with the flooding. He provided services from his personal company. And I was hoping to have had something on last week or the last court session, but I did not have the finalized numbers and documentation. So I do present to the court a donation in the amount of $49,400 from Commissioner Flores for the court's acceptance.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
If I may offer commendation to Joe Flores for his generosity. Obviously, the most affected area was Precinct 4. I know he serviced also Precinct 2, but from the bottom of our hearts, our constituents were very fortunate by the mere donation that Commissioner Joe Flores had given us. And I just want to thank him from me and on behalf of Precinct 4 for the assistance he's given us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
I had a call from our emergency management, and of course, we went out there and I pulled 3 of my trucks from Cotulla and 3 from down here. Those are personal trucks, and then of course I had 3 trucks, vacuum trucks that belong to the county, and 2 water trucks. There was a total of 9 and 2 of the 11 trucks, and we helped mostly the community of Edinburgh and San Carlos, I believe, in Precinct 2. So that's what we're here for. I mean, help people out.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Item D, Judge Commissioners, requesting approval of payment of attorney's vouchers. These were not submitted within the 3 months of disposition. This is as per our local rules administration, TLGC 74.093. These are from attorneys Jorge Munoz. This is in connection with legal representation of indigent defendants. I'm asking this with authority for the county treasurer to issue payment after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor. I do have 2 disposition dates, 11/12/2013, 12/16/2013. They were both out of county court at law number 7. The first one, $845, and the second one, $2,715, for a total of $3,560.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Mr. Gus Martinez to come to the podium. Mr. Martinez, item E is discussion and possible action on tax resale and private bids received on properties. Mr. Martinez?
That is correct, gentlemen. Good morning, sirs. We did have a resale in February and June, of which we sold 69 properties. We have also 9 more properties that were privately bid by the city of Mercedes. We bring these before you for your consideration. If approved, they'll generate $201,000 to the county and put back $2.8 million onto the tax roll.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And there also is the accompanying order and resolution. Was
Item
that-
2 is the discussion, possible action on
Move for
order.
approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
All right, thank you, sirs.
Item F, Judge Commissioners, I'm asking approval to accept the settlement offer from American Access Casualty Company in the amount of $110.10. This will settle an auto accident claim with one of our county vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I'm also asking authority to sign off or to sign the release of property damage claim form and any other documents to settle the auto accident claim with American Access Casualty Company.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 11 for the Human Resources, Mr. Silguero.
Morning, sir.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners, Raul Salguero, Executive Office. I'm presenting the HR items this morning. Ms. Cortez is out of the office. I have, the first item is a Community Service Agency, and I believe Mr. Longoria is here? Yes. In case there's any questions. Judge, we're requesting approval of the Community Service Agency initial human resource salary schedule for personnel-related actions. We have taken their salary schedule and we're incorporating it into our HR system so that we can track through the court any creations, deletions, any personnel actions will be tracked, even though it's a transition to county operations. And there's 38 positions and they're in your backup. Mr. Longoria, any comment?
Yes, sir. Jaime Longoria, the Community Service Agency. Just wanted to reiterate what Mr. Salguero mentioned is this is the initial step in transitioning the HR function of Community Service Agency over to the county.
Raul, do they use the county's federal ID number?
No, sir. We're, the salary schedule will be maintained for HR purposes only at this point, so that, like I said earlier, it's a transition into the county. Eventually, they will be under the county EIN number. Yes, sir.
But they process their own payroll, right?
Sir?
They process their own payroll?
Yes, sir. Okay. But everything will be brought to court for Commissioner's Court's approval, any salary-related actions, personnel.
Thank you.
We've already engaged the executive office. They're in the process of looking at our EIN number and doing away with that as we move forward.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item B is for the county treasurer. We're requesting waiver of the budget amendment policy on personnel-related amendments, discussion, consideration, and approval of the following personnel actions effective next pay period. These are two title changes, a payroll specialist to a financial data specialist, and a cashier 3 to an accountant 1. This is no change in, this is just a correction of a title, no change in salary, no change in duties.
Move for approval.
Second. 3?
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3?
1, 2, and 3.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We've already done the constable, that created that constable. Moving on, we have the tax office. These are two items. One item is the adjustment for salaries related to opening up a substation for the tax office in Elsa. There's slot number, what's this slot number?
What number are you looking at?
I'm looking at D, item D, requesting waiver of the budget amendment policy and discussion, consideration, and approval of the following personnel actions. It's under tax office, item D, Judge. The first item is to increase an auto allowance. This is simply a change in the auto allowance due to additional travel duties from $1,500 to $4,500 on slot number 7, as listed on the agenda.
What are we doing? Are we giving pay raises to some people here?
So the Elsa substation is being opened, and Mr. Villarreal, in working with the Commissioner Cuellar and Balde, is moving 4 people from the Edinburgh office to the Elsa office and creating one position. One position is being created. The staff is being trained and to do both vehicle registration and tax, so he's adjusting their function from Deputy Clerk 1 to Deputy Clerk 2. So there is a slight change in salary. The change in salary is $3,000 on slot 3,411 for slot number 31. That's the second on that grid. It's for slot number 64, it's $3,000. For slot number 69, it's $3,186. And for slot number 126, it's $3,070. These are reclassifications from Deputy Clerk 1 to Deputy Clerk 2 due to the fact that they're going to be doing both vehicle registration and tax collection in the substation, Judge.
So the number on the right is the increase in salary.
Yes, sir, the extreme right.
It's coming out of the same budget, right?
Yes, sir.
Judge,
There's 1,
Yes.
2, 3
Before
deletions.
you're finished with this item, there's a net increase in the funding that is needed.
There's an increase because of additional, one new position that was needed, and I think Mr. Guerra is funding that position.
And the funding has not been identified, Judge.
Again,
Mr. Guerra?
my statement will be the same. It would be presumptuous on my part to fund something that the court has not taken action. There's a request on the table. Once the court takes action, then we take the
Have
appropriate...
you looked at it, and does it comply with you? I know you were going to be looking at whether or not there were any pay raises being,
Judge, with respect to the Elsa substation, the project that we've been working on for right around, I guess now 10, 11 months.
Yeah, about 10 months.
And with respect to the intent of the court, everything is in order.
okay.
Move for approval, subject to...
Yeah, there's no funding in place. I don't know, pretty soon we're gonna get into budget discussions, and there's always the discussion about, funding being short, and so I just thought I'd bring that up.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move for approval, subject to funding.
Okay.
On item 2, there's, just for the record, a correction, there's two, slot number 181 and 182, the salary listed is $20,235. It should be $21,008 to comply with the county's $10.10.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The 1, 2, 3, Judge?
1, 2,
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
The item E is for the district attorney's office. Ms. Rosie Cantu is here in case there's any questions. This, I understand, is part of the reorganization efforts that are still undergoing in the district attorney's office, and Mr. Guerra has been working with the DA's office, and these are 4 reclassifications. There's slot number 33 is going from an assistant district attorney 2 to assistant district attorney 3. And the net change there is $5,400. There's a reclassification for slot number 91. That's a decrease from a district attorney 4 to a district attorney 3. And the net change there is a negative $21,320. So that's a savings there. Slot number 101, 110 is assistant district attorney 2 to a 3, a net increase of $5,400, and slot number 113 from a district attorney 2 to a 3, net change of $5,400. So there's 3 attorneys that are being reclassified from a 2 to a 3, and 1 that's being reclassified from a 4 to a 2.
So is a vacant position, is a position where there's a decrease, is that a vacant position?
No, it's not a vacant position, Judge. The position was budgeted at a higher salary than what they needed to pay the position. That's why they reclassified it. The position should have been a 2. That's what they were hiring. The slot was budgeted at a 4, so they're adjusting the salary down.
What are we doing? We're bringing someone who had been earning 70, bringing him down to 49?
No, the person is not earning 70, sir. The job was filled at a DA2 level at the 49 salary, but the position was budgeted at a much higher salary because it was a 4, so they're just adjusting it correctly to correct that. Nobody's getting a decrease in salary.
Move for approval.
Judge,
Yes.
county policy requires that a classification committee do a review of these proposed items. The classification committee recommendation forms were not attached.
Mr. Silguero.
There were 2 departments that were involved in reclassification. One was the tax office. Those were attached. The ones for the district attorney's office, Mr. Auditor Ray, they were submitted late Monday. I have reviewed them, or I have consulted with the county treasurer, which is one of the committee members, and the budget officer and myself. We have reviewed the documents, and they concur with the reclassification request.
We will attach them.
We will attach them
The
this
forms were
afternoon.
attached?
Yes.
Today
Yes.
or?
No, yes, we'll submit them. We'll attach them and submit to your office as well as the county clerk's office.
Because we reviewed them, and so this morning, they were not attached. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why-
We got them late afternoon. We weren't able to attach them, but we have consulted with them, and we will forward
We'll
to
get 'em
you.
over to your office.
So
to
we
your
will
office.
attach them, buddy?
Yes, we'll get them over to
Okay.
your office.
Got it.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
That would be for
And that was 1, 2, and
1, 2, and 3?
Yes, sir.
That was 1, 2, and 3, I think.
Okay. The next item still under the DA's office is from House Bill 65 fund. This is DA investigation fund. They're requesting approval to create a position, 2 positions. Assistant District Attorney 2, and this is from slide number 137 at $58,100 with an auto allowance of $900, and a District Attorney 3 with a slide number 138, supposed to be $54,400 instead of 50, it's a typo, instead of 53.5, it should have been, it's a discrepancy. It should be 54, just for the record, $54,400. And the supplement from fund, from the slide 119 is $9,100. The total salary for the District Attorney 3 is $63,500. So this is 2 new positions that are being created from his House Bill 65 fund.
Move for approval.
Second.
And that would be for 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under the Sheriff's Office, approval of the following personnel actions effective next full pay period. We have most of these are clothing allowances where we're just shifting the clothing allowance from one slide to another. The first one is we're deleting a position, a captain position, slide number 008, budgeted at $66,950 with the clothing, and we're creating a lieutenant 4. This is the sheriff's request that we delete the captain position and create a lieutenant at a lower salary, salary of $57,759, and auto allowance of $500. So that's one cancels out the other. And the remaining that are listed are simply changes in in clothing allowance, slide number 124, 144, 156, 60, 74, 224, and 001 is, we're deleting a community liaison position that pays $55. That's being deleted. So requesting approval of the items as listed, Judge.
Move for approval. 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's all we have. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Mr.
Judge, can we go back to the DA investigation, HB 65? The slot number 0119 funding has not been identified for it.
Okay. We will identify the funding then with respect to the action that was taken.
So it's approved subject to funding?
Yes.
On the 0119?
Yes.
But is there a grant funding? You have
That
grant
under-
funding available over there?
That's
under
under
the-
E.
Yeah, it's under E, Judge, but it's on the second
Right.
portion, the DA investigation.
The
Except
appropriate-
that one last item, there's no funding in place.
Right, the appropriate funding will be identified.
Thank you,
Okay.
Judge Commissioner.
Judge, Commissioners, with that being said, I know that we've had
So
some,
that's the understanding, that it's subject to funding.
Right, that's what I just
Right.
wanted to make sure for the record that it's subject to funding.
I know we've had these action items on the agenda. I know that we had transitions taking place. We're already in the middle of, or a latter part of July. I still have 1 or 2 issues that I'm working with the District Attorney's Office, so I may have a couple of more actionable items for the DA's office. But with that being said, Judge Commissioners, I'm letting the court know that I'll be sending a memorandum to the county departments and officials that, given that we're in our budget process, that I'm going to ask that we not entertain any more personnel-related action items, and that all personnel-related action items be addressed during the budgeting process, and let the process be the definitive way to address these action items. Again, there were transitions that we've been working through. We had changes in offices or office holders, so there was some housekeeping to be done. If I'm not mistaken, as I said, I got a couple of items with the District Attorney's Office that I'm still working on. And Commissioner Cantu, I do believe I have one more with you that I'm working on transition, but I'll work with Mr. Garza. But again, I'll be sending out a memorandum to the officials and to the department heads that we won't be entertaining any more actionable personnel items on the agenda. I will say that with a caveat, obviously. Everything is subject on a case-by-case and by case-by-case if there is an emergency. And by emergency, I mean an emergency. There's a weather-related emergency, there's something that happened, we had, someone in the office that's going to be out, whatever the case may
So
be.
you want us to act on that, authorizing you to send it, or are you going to go ahead and send it out?
I'm going to send it, and I'll have, on our next Commissioners Court, I'll have some language just to reiterate on the agenda for the court to acknowledge what I have done.
Okay.
Okay?
Mr. Ofracio, on that House Bill 65, there was a budget amendment included on the item.
Okay, thank you.
Item 12, our HIDA Task Force.
Item 12A, authorization and approval to accept the following approval of memorandum of understanding between the Hidalgo County HIDA Task Force and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Department.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Approval of memorandum of understanding between the Hidalgo County HIDA Task Force and the Hidalgo County Constable Precinct 3.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Number 3, approval of interfund transfer from HIDA Federal Sharing Fund 1254 to Constable Precinct 3 Equitable Sharing Fund 1261 and Sheriff's Equitable Sharing Fund 1229 in the total amount of $20,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Approval to revise a HIDA U.S. Treasury Justice Asset Forfeiture Fund overtime schedule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Olivares, item 13, Health Department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services. Just a quick announcement. I want to remind everyone, Operation Lone Star starts on Monday, and that's an operation we'll be having at Palmview High School in La Jolla School District on La Homa Road, and at PSJ High School on South I Road in San Juan. That's a big operation. We also have on July 30th a VIP day where we have all the state and federal officials come in. Each and every one of you are invited to attend. That invitations have been sent out to your offices, so please make that arrangements on your calendar, see if you could attend that on the 30th. Item 13A, sir, is immunization branch local grants. It's requesting approval to accept the immunization branch local grants contract number 2016-000022-00 in the amount of $649,320 for the period of 9/1/2015 through 8/31/2016.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is requesting approval for the county judge to e-sign immunization branch local grants contract certification regarding lobbying statement and the fiscal federal funding accountability and transparency act certification.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 3, requesting approval of the certification of revenue in the amount of $649,320.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 4, requesting approval of the budget appropriations in the amount of $649,320,000.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 5, requesting approval of the salary schedule as attached.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Next item on there involving immunization program income, requesting approval of the certification of revenue in the amount of $100,000 for immunization program income.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is requesting approval of the budget appropriations in the amount of $100,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item B, sir, is requesting approval of the amendment number 1 to the non-disclosure agreement between the University of Texas Pan American and Hidalgo County Health and Human Services Department. The purpose of the amendment is to transfer all rights, duties, and obligations and responsibilities under agreement from UT Pan American to UT RGV, or UT Rio Grande Valley. This is in reference to Operation Lone Star, and a study is being done. And this is part of the maintenance of transitioning all our agreements from UTPA to UT RGV. Legal counsel has approved this.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is the clarification purposes of action taken by Commissioners Court on July 7th, 2015. Item number AI Alpha India 50276 to include approval to submit grant application for Department of State Health Services Community Preparedness one-time funding opportunity amount of $147,344. FY 2016 contract will be in effect November 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2016.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Just for the court to know on that item, sir, we were able to get an additional $70,000, and in reviewing this with the state, the funding is going to be used for the All Hazards Conference or the Hurricane Conference for next year, and also some of this funding will be used to procure additional equipment for emergency response. For example, the upgrading in a new hygiene trailer, some lighting, some other things that could be used for different things. So this was a very hard effort put forth by a lot of team members in our office, and thank God that the funding came through and we're able to work it out. Item D is discussion and action. Item D is discussion and action to make public all restaurant inspections results on a county website. As of last week, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services has an application. It's available on iPhones and Android phones, which is called Hidalgo Fit. On there, we're also going to make available to the public, with your permission, all results of restaurant inspections, so people could actually see how they scored in their inspections. This is part of a grant we got, that this is one of the tasks, one of the goals that we have to adhere to the grant. This project will be kicking off in January of 2016, but in accordance to the grant, we have to go ahead and have it on record that we're going to get this operation going. So this is a way to inform the public. What's the healthier places to eat? What's a good thing to do? And then also it would put our local businesses on notice that, you know, they have to do their diligent effort to keep things healthy and in good shape.
Every bit of this information is public record.
That's correct, sir. Anyone could ask for it, but we're just going to be able to put it on our app site that you can get it to other health departments in Texas do the same thing already.
Is Brian Wolf not here anymore, so we'll go ahead and move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, discussion and action to make public the names of the local restaurants and businesses that complete the Hidalgo Fit course available through online Hidalgo County Public Health Academy. One of the things we're going to be doing, sir, is real similar to what the sheriff has done. Part of our grant funding and program we're developing is a public health academy, where we would actually invite different civic members, civic leaders, community members to take part in a 12-hour public health academy so they could learn and understand the role of public health and the importance of as many aspects. And this academy is going to get started, and we're going to be having our first classes with your approval, and there'll actually be a graduation component, and many of you will be asked to recommend some residents to take part in the academy and take part in this. So with your approval today, sir, we'd like to get this authorization to go forward and move with this program.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E, sir, is Hidalgo Care Funding District, discussion and action including but not limited to Hidalgo Care Funding District under expenditures. There's no action or discussion there unless you have any questions. Item F, sir, is Indigent Healthcare Program, discussion and action including but not limited to Indigent Healthcare Program 1115 waiver and expenditures. There's no action or items unless you have any questions. Thank you, sir.
What was the amount we contributed last budget cycle?
Sir, it's $6 million.
6?
For the indigent healthcare?
Yes.
$6 million, sir.
All right.
Eddie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Emergency management.
All right. Emergency management, Mr. Rick?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I come before you to present to the Hidalgo County Coordinator for discussion and consideration necessary action to terminate the local and state of disaster for the County of Hidalgo due to the torrential rain event from April and May 2015 causing widespread flooding damage.
This is to close the event?
Yes, sir.
Just a question, and it's more for the general public because we're getting a lot of questions related to the damages. I know we've been awarded, or at least we've been cleared for public assistance through FEMA. I know
sir.
there's a kickoff meeting tomorrow. I think
Yes, sir.
the news media as well as our constituent base are asking when in fact public assistance will happen, timetables. I know we're going to be addressing public roads. We're going to be addressing multiple issues. And if you can kind of give us an idea of what to expect.
Basically, what's going to happen there, Commissioner, we're going to go through our kickoff meeting. We're going to go through several phases of it. One would be the roadways.
Okay.
The other one would be debris management, which we did a lot of it in Precinct 1 area. The other one would be all the workforce, the equipment used, staffing, all of those items that were used during the event, all the equipment, mainly the pumping and some of the purchasing of equipment that was used, mainly hoses, the purchasing, the repairs of and maintenance of some of that equipment during that event. All of those are items that are covered under the public assistance program to hopefully recoup at least 75% of those expenses. Under the debris management, there's a threshold up to 85% if we meet it during a certain time frame.
Right.
And from the pre-meetings that we've had with Mr. Lozano and the FEMA reps and the state reps, it looks like we met the 85% threshold.
Okay, and more specific, we had a lot of damage to roads. There's a lot of residents in the thousands that are waiting for us to address. In my precinct, it's been about 54 roads that have been damaged. What should they expect on the response from the county? We're clearing a lot of them to make them safe, but there's been a lot of Q&A calls on when they're to expect the public assistance so that we can get in there and return it back to original state.
The public assistance is going to play the factor on the county on the repairs of those roads or bringing them up back to standards,
Right.
okay? Once those costs are done or estimated and given to our partners at FEMA and the state when we have our meeting tomorrow and when we do the individual meetings for those particular topics, we will start the process and list all those roads that were damaged and what the cost of the repairs or bringing them back to normal operation standards.
So my simple question will be, if in fact the precinct responds to repairing these roads back to the original state, are we clear to make those repairs so that, we don't prevent ourselves from taking advantage of the public assistance? Are we clear for that yet?
Yes, because you're putting them back to standard operations to avoid damages or endanger the public and for the use for emergency purposes, for emergency vehicles to pass through, to make it a
Safe.
Passable and a safe manner for the public and the general public. Yes, that is acceptable.
Okay.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So all we're asking is for approval to terminate
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. And Commissioner Flores, thank you very much for what you've done.
Number 2.
That was one and two, right?
We did 1 and 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, item 15, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our first item on the agenda is requesting approval of a program amendment for the City of Progreso using their 25 and 26 years. The amendment will delete Hidalgo Street and add new streets known as Baker Drive and Miracle Road to the work plan.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Commissioner.
Item B is on behalf of Precinct 1 requesting consideration and action to award and enter into a construction contract with Science Brothers Construction, the lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications and requirement. This is a general land office contract. The amount would be $4,502,936. It is part of the Delta Area Connector East Lateral Colonia Infrastructure Project. Of course, this is all subject to legal review.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 15B. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262.024A for construction materials and GEO technical testing services.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court for the construction materials and geotechnical testing services. The three firms evaluated were Robert Kisner Consultants with a grade of 87.33, Terracon Consulting and Engineering with a grade of 82.67, and PSI with a grade of 81. Would you like to rank them in that order?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C3 is authority to negotiate a professional engineering service contract with the number one ranked firm of Robert Kisner Consultants.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262.024 for professional engineering services.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 15D. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2 is presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court. This project is related to the street improvements activity for Precinct 1. The three firms evaluated were Lefevre with 92.67, Javier Hinojosa Engineering with 82.67, and R.E. Garcia Engineering with a grade of 82.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D3 is requesting authority to negotiate a professional engineering service contract with the number one ranked firm of Lefevre.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item E is on behalf of Precinct 4, requesting authority to rescind action taken on May 19, 2015, for issuance of a purchase order to Accessibility Checks and Control for an ADA plan review for the Brewster Park Improvement Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Our final item F is requesting a waiver to its in-house owner-occupied housing rehabilitation program assistance cap of $60,000. Currently, we have in place a $60,000 cap. We have a situation in which we'll need to replace the septic tank in the home that we're rehabbing, and it'll exceed the cost a few thousand over $60,000. So we're requesting a waiver.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 15F. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Ms. Arnao,
Yes.
the item E is no longer necessary?
I'm sorry, so which item?
Item E,
E.
for the ADA checks and controls,
Yes, what was the question?
is no longer necessary, the...
No, it's
service?
necessary. We just wouldn't, we're not able to work with the contractor to both parties' satisfaction.
All right.
We're going to have to start this all over again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 16, Elections Administration.
Good morning, Amanda Valdez for Yvonne Ramon. Melissa's passing out a packet with two different sections. The first section is based on A. I'll just read that real quick. 1 and 2 is discussion and approval of appointment of Democratic presiding election judges and alternate election judges for the August 1st, 2015 through the July 31st, 2017 term. And 2 is the same for the Republican Party. And what you have is 3 different lists. The first one, I believe, is the Democrat list. The second one is a supplemental list that our office has submitted so that in case there are not names for some of the locations for the Democrat and the Republican ones, then we have submitted names of persons who have worked in our office before. And then the final one is the Republican list that was submitted late last week.
Is this the first time that's been handed out to judge and commissioners?
It was given to us pretty late by the Democrat and the Republican parties. It was attached to the agenda pretty late as well. We'd been meeting, I know that we had meetings with the Democratic and the Republican chair. The deadline for them to get it to us was when?
June 30th.
June 30th, and we received them late last week.
Okay. You want to move through?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second of 16A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, item B is discussion and approval of early voting sites for the constitutional amendment election to be held November 3rd, 2015.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second for 16B. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 2 is discussion and approval of election day voting sites for the constitutional amendment election to be held November 3rd, 2015.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
17A, Planning.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are recommending approval for reimbursement in the amount of $1,500 for a replat of Lot 12, Santa Cruz Ranches subdivision. It's located in Precinct 4.
Everything in order?
Everything's in order, sir.
Move for approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second on 17A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
18A, Precinct 2.
Morning, Commissioners. Item 18A, approval of interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 and the County of Hidalgo, Texas for assistance of right-of-way acquisition services for the Precinct 2 Regional Linear Park. If you recall in the previous, or previously at the Drainage District meeting, you approved this item under the Drainage District, and we're now doing that on behalf of the county. And it's my understanding that it was approved in the Drainage District meeting, subject to rewriting of the interlocal.
Move for approval.
Commissioners, the agreement was not attached for review.
It's subject to legal review.
All right.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 18B, requesting approval to accept a donation from the Women's Clinic of South Texas for a 40-inch JVC television to be used at the Alamo Community Resource Center.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So there's no action on number 2?
No action for number 2, I think was included in item A. I think the
Yes,
motion was
it
for
was
item A.
one in. So we have a motion and a second for 18B. And we already had action to that. Okay. Item 18C.
Precinct 2, road maintenance, approval of certification of revenue as certified by the county auditor for revenue received from the RMA, Regional Mobility Authority, for right-of-way acquisition services provided to the RMA through an interlocal agreement approved by Commissioners Court on March 5th, 2014.
You want to take them together?
Yes, item 1 and 2. And approval of 2015 appropriation of funds into Precinct 2 road and maintenance in the amount of $27,075.
Move for approval.
C 1 and 2.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
18D, approval of 2015 appropriation of funds in the amount of $719,583.83 to fund road and park improvement projects.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Precinct 3, 19A.
But is that the one you had a question on?
No, sir, this is actually the one we worked on with Mr. Crane.
That's the one Mingo had a question.
Yes, that's the one that Mingo, yes, so.
This is the one on, this is, Commissioner, this is the one on Torbillo Road.
Yeah.
On Carlos Leal.
Yeah.
It says, A1, approval of partial release of easement of portion of Mile 1 South Road, Del Monte Orchard Company, subdivision number 1.
Move for approval.
Second.
Can we take these together?
Yeah.
The second was approval of road right-of-way dedication of a portion of Mile 1 South Road. What happened was this road was realigned. What we're doing is we're releasing the part that we were no longer using to the abutting landowner, and the abutting landowner is supposed to sign the dedication this afternoon. So I would like authority on this one for the judge to sign these documents once we receive the dedication from the landowner.
Okay, it'll be move for approval on 19A 1 and 2.
Right.
We have a motion and a second for 19A 1 and 2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 28, Precinct 4 is authorization and approval of name change as recommended by the LRGV DC 911, proposed name Tejerina Street.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and there is no action on item B. So 21A, Budget and Management.
Morning, Judge, morning, Commissioners, City of Cruz Department of Budget Management. Item 21A is presentation on the 2016 budget process status update. Can you handle?
Commissioners, I'll go pretty brief on this. We will be starting the budget workshops. I'm hoping to start those the week that we move over to the new Commissioners Courtroom. I will try to set up meetings with each of your offices to go over this packet in more detail beginning next week. And that way y'all can have formulate any questions and we can start the discussion process the first week of August. Just as a summary for 2015, we had certified revenues by the county auditor of $176.5 million. Our 2015 adopted budget was $185.6 million. So we did have a budget deficit of $9.1 million, which we took from the general fund balance. Again, there is a plan to recuperate roughly about $8.5 million via new source revenues, the sanitation program that we started at the beginning of this year, also some sale of land that we're looking at right now. For one of the properties, we're at the appraisal phase, getting that property appraised. For two other properties, we are looking at getting those subdivided and then those selling off those properties as well. But again, there is a plan to go back and recuperate a majority of those funds, roughly about $8.5 million, if not more. One of the main issues that we're going to address during the budget is going to be the appraisal values, property valuations. In April of this year, the appraisal district sent over their estimate on the property valuations. It was roughly about 5% property valuation growth. However, looking at last week's property valuations, only about 24 billion has been certified by the appraisal district. There's still about another 4 billion that's under protest, while the appraisal district had basically estimated that there would be about 28 billion in property values. Given the fact that right now the total with the certified and the protest is at 28 billion, I don't believe we're going to reach that projection that the appraisal district gave us in April. So we will be looking a large, substantial decrease in the projections that we started looking at when we started developing this budget. So basically, we will probably receive a small valuation increase, but we will not have that valuation increase as had been estimated by the chief appraiser back in April. There are just a lot of protests that occurred this year, so that brought basically that projection down. Given that a lot of the things that we have been looking at, we're going to have to reevaluate. One of the things, the cost of living adjustment. Right now, the CPI for this year over last year, there is no increase in the CPI. However, over the past few years, last year there was a CPI of roughly about 2%. We did not give a cost of living. So there has been a lag over the last few years. Since 2007 to now, there's been a lag of roughly about 5% in CPI. Basically, the consumer price index prices have increased by 5%. However, the employee salaries have remained stagnant. So that is one of the things that I know the judge and some of the court members have discussed about possibly giving a cost of living adjustment. Right now, cost of living adjustment, if we were to do a 5%, it would be roughly about $5 million for general fund and a little bit over $600,000 for road and bridge. So roughly about 1.1 million for every percentage of cost of living that the court would authorize. So that's one of the things, depending on property valuations and other things we would have to look at to discuss cost of living. The law enforcement pay plan, also the sheriff had submitted a pay plan adjustment to be able to compete due to the DPS surge that they're going to have here in the valley, and also to compete with some of the local entities. His plan, as submitted by them a couple of months back, is roughly totaling about $4.8 million in cost. So that's something that we're also going to have to reevaluate as far as how that plan gets implemented, whether over a three-year phase but basically we're going to have to come up with other options for the court to consider as far as implementation of that pay plan. There's also the step increase for the law enforcement. The law enforcement pay plan is basically on a longevity type of pay plan. So depending on the number of years that the deputies are working for the county, they move up a step. It's a little bit over $1 million to have a step increase. I know that when we discussed the pay plan adjustment, the step increase, there was some consideration by the sheriff's office as far as maybe freezing the step adjustments if we were to implement the pay plan fully. However, now that the valuations are not looking as favorable for the county, we'd have to reevaluate that again. Room and board is also cost that we need to look at. There was over a $1.5 million increase in general fund costs for juvenile room and board. I know that we're going to be visiting with the judge that supervises the juveniles, or the juvenile judge, and also the juvenile board to discuss this with them and see what we can do to bring those costs down. The jail room board, again, we did have, the DA and the sheriff do have a plan to try to mitigate some of those jail costs. We're also looking at maybe partnering with Cameron County to try to bring that down. However, there was a request for additional room and board costs for the jail as well. As Eddie mentioned, the 1115 waiver. The 1115 waiver, for this fiscal year, we gave a $6 million contribution. So that's something that we would also have to reevaluate whether we continue with the $6 million or possibly bring it down or see what adjustment we would have to make regarding 1115 waiver. The vehicle replacement plan. Last year we went out for some tax notes to begin funding this vehicle replacement plan due to the years and the mileage that the vehicles our current fleet has. Again, last year we replaced over 120 vehicles for the sheriff, for the constables, and for other county departments. For this year, if we weren't able to do something like that, we would recommend that we basically slow down on that, maybe only replace maybe around 60 vehicles. That's still at about a cost of about $3 million. So there we would again look at doing some type of financing for that if we can afford that. We've had new departmental requests. A lot of these requests, as I mentioned, have to deal with room and board. However, there was a increase from last year's operating, and these are only for the operating expense categories, of over $9 million that were requested above the this 2015 budgeted amount. So again, there's not going to be a lot of room to fulfill a lot of those requests. So those are something that we're going to have to go through in fine detail. We also have some expiring grants that we'll need to tackle. One of them is the COPS 13. That grant actually expired last year. This year is part of the retention phase of the grant. So roughly for those 13 slots, it's a little bit over $600,000 that it would mean if we were to retain these individuals. Again, last year when we looked at that, we recommended to the court that we not fund these positions. However, I know that the sheriff and some of their personnel have requested that we look at this again during this budget process. So it's something that we have on for it. We also have the public juvenile grant, public defenders grant. That's over a little bit over $200,000. Again, this year we are at the 80% mark of the grant. However, the grant expires in September. So this is a grant that we would be looking at whether we would, again, continue with the juvenile public defenders program or to do away with it. Again, it's over $200,000 that we expend on that grant. Now, another item that we have that we'll be discussing during the budget process is going to be the voting machines. This really is not much of an issue for 2016. What we're looking is, I've met with Ms. Ramon. Ms. Ramon will be visiting with the court and with some of the constituents as far as getting more demonstrations regarding the two systems that are currently vying for our business. Basically, the machines hover about the same price, a little bit over $5,400 per machine. Again, if we were to look at this and replace these sometime next year, we would recommend that we do that via some type of tax note and basically finance that over a 7-year term. So then here, that payment wouldn't become due till 2017. But again, just something for the court to keep in mind, that this is something that's coming that we're going to have to do. So anything that we do this year as far as budget increases, just so that we know that 2017, we do have something that's pretty definite that we would have to invest in, which would be the voting machine. So there's already an increase for that.
Are you going to buy new machines or just add paper trail?
We were looking, I think the intent was to buy new machines, to replace all of the machines that we have in service right now.
Didn't we get some kind of grant last time we bought this one?
Yes, I believe a lot of them were purchased using the HAVA grant.
Yeah.
However, that funding is no longer available. I think that was just a one-time funding when they first went into this electronic voting machines.
Versus buying new machines and keeping this ones, do we have to get rid of this ones? Trade them in?
Yes, basically, we would exchange them, depending on who the
Trade-in?
vendor is, we would do a trade-in.
Be sure the other ones have paper trail, like nobody can,
Yes.
get stuff in their mind.
Yes, that's one of the things, the security is one of the big things that I think are new in these new machines. So that's one of the reasons why Ms. Ramon is going to be proposing to the court that we look at investing in some new machines. Another item that we'll have to discuss is going to be the debt service requirement. Again, and we'll go into this a little bit later. We do have a workshop scheduled for today regarding our debt service. So these are potential new issuances that we might do that might have an effect on our debt service and our debt service requirement. So that would also shift monies from our M&O over to our INS. So in essence, reducing the money that we have for maintenance and operation.
I've got a question for the
Yes,
judge
sir.
and Steve Crane. Steve, I understand that the RMA is going to get $55 million on SIP loans or something like that, and Sherman told me he had spoken to the judge and said that the county was not liable for it.
That's what he said. He sent, I believe, he sent a copy of a letter that was a legal memorandum prepared by their lawyer.
That's their lawyer.
Their lawyer,
Okay,
right.
why don't we have our lawyer? It's county
I'll be
lawyer.
happy to look at it. I have not seen it.
So, I mean, it doesn't sound right.
Bobby, on top.
Where's our financial advisor? He's here.
Yeah, Noah's here.
Yeah. The county wouldn't be liable for it? For those $55 million, what do you think?
I haven't seen the contract or any of the offerings, but I suspect, just based on what an RMA normally does, is you probably will not be financially liable. Is there something to be said for the fact that I think if bonds are placed in the public domain in terms of selling bonds in the open market, and something occurs to that entity, that the public expects you as the parent authority to the RMA to be supervising or at least being briefed on what it is that they're doing. I don't know if that's happening here or not.
Will that affect our borrowing capacity?
It won't affect your borrowing capacity. Let's say that they were to default down the road for whatever reason, that the project was a little bit too ambitious on its projections of traffic revenues of that sort, and that if they were to then have an event of default, people will be looking at Hidalgo County Commissioner's Court credit in terms of, being somewhat responsible for creating the political subdivision and being, expected to be seeing what they were doing out there, I guess.
Unless we can get a letter from the state.
Bobby, do you have a copy of a letter that was sent to us by?
I have it not on me, but it essentially said that the liability wouldn't fall to the county. It was a separate entity. It would not.
They
It was a
said
legal opinion.
There would be no legal obligation on the part of the county, so we'd not be liable, and it would not affect our ability to, our rating, in the event we
Or
go out there
capacity.
on the bond market.
The other thing too, we missed the deadline, but they are scheduled to come for next commissioners meeting, which is next Tuesday, and I believe Noe will be here too for the Edinburgh workshop, so they will be here to give us an update and presentation on what's going on with them for next Tuesday.
I would like for our county advisor and Steve Crane to look at that letter because.
Well, why don't you go get a copy of it?
It sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
Well, but that's a letter by the RMA's legal counsel.
Correct.
What I'd like to, I think, didn't Laredo have this issue where their RMA had a project, defaulted, and got taken over by the state?
That was a bridge at Laredo.
But it happened, right?
Yeah.
Where And so what was the effect of that on their borrowing capacity?
I think at that time, it was a private corporation, if I recall. It was Camino Colombia. And I think TxDOT came in and bought it for a dime at the time. I don't know whether this project is being funded strictly through TxDOT. I really don't know the various pieces that the RMA is using to
This
fund this
55
project.
million is being pledged by toll revenues, which I think this is the second time they use toll revenues as a collateral. I believe that they have toll revenues on a smaller portion or smaller amount of money and also on the 55 million.
Okay. So I guess we need to just see, what toll revenues of a...
And I'm not against it. I'm for it, but I just want to be sure that everything's done right.
Yeah, I think legally you're fine. I think financially there could be a consequence on the road, but again, that's in case of a default. So you just need to understand what it is, and I think that's what we're going to achieve next week.
Bobby, do you remember seeing that letter?
Yes.
Do you mind walking out there and getting a copy of it, one for each member of the court, so that, okay, email, okay.
But the effect,
I'm a few years behind, Bobby.
if the RMA was to default and they're responsible or the bondholders come back to the RMA, well, that relieves us of our liability. But if they come back to the county and say, pony up the money or whatever.
I think that's very explicit, Commissioner. I don't think that there's no backstop provided by the court. So there's no legal liability, there's no financial direct liability on the court for the bondholder to have that right. But I think what happens, there's this representation of Hidalgo County, name being used, and basically they're saying, a bondholder can say, well, we expected you to understand the project, and I think that's
the only thing I'm worried about is the county commissioners, us as an elected body, appointed the members for the RMA. So we appointed those people, so why wouldn't we be responsible for it?
Well, I mean, that's what the bondholder may have a right if that default ever occurs. I think my understanding was that TxDOT is buying all of these bonds, not the public. So TxDOT is considered a sophisticated purchaser, an investor, it's a direct investor. They know what they're doing, I guess. And
It'll take some time, but as long as we can get everything
clarification,
on the table and then let our attorney look at it, you look at it, and we'll approve it. Let's go for it.
All right.
No, but isn't the RMA pledging the registration fees that the county is collecting for these bonds?
I think they did that financing once, and I think they exhausted their capacity for that. If I
That
remember
registration fee is pledged towards their main loan, their basic loan, the one they're operating.
Get 40 million, so I get it one time?
This is
At
on
one time it
projected
was 40,
revenues
but it was
based
going up.
on a toll revenue study, I believe. So,
Or maybe next week, or 2 weeks, they can get the chairman come in and give us a little explanation on it.
I think we should require that. Valde, put it on, so we can give them notice, so they can come in and talk to us about, what they're doing and how it's going to impact us, if at all.
I'll send them a memo today.
Okay, I know we have
We have a workshop, Judge.
we have a workshop posted for 11 o'clock,
And I think.
and it's
that's
already,
Yes.
I think it's a good buy-in right now to have the workshop after the presentation by Sergio, and then we have Noe in the audience, so we need to,
we want to finish the budget.
I can finish up real quick, Judge. As far as on other 2016 budget issues that we wanted to look at Justice of the Peace personnel. Right now, we have some JPs that have more personnel than others, so we basically want to see what we can do, not have a budgetary impact, but be able to use the existing personnel, perhaps in some JPs, shift them over to some of the other JPs that have fewer personnel. But that's something that we want to look at and visit with the JPs and look at that. Also, one other thing that we do have is on the fire calls. We are trying to negotiate with the fire chiefs from the cities that provide fire call services for the county. They have requested an increase in their fire call rates. They basically want right now we have 5 different categories on the fire calls. They want to switch those 5 categories to 3 categories and then increase some of those category fees. Right now, the numbers that we have from the fire chiefs, it would cost roughly about $600,000 to be able to finance that increase in those fire call rates. We are still negotiating with the fire chiefs, and we probably have a workshop regarding that to be able to address that and come to some type of agreement as far as on those fire call rates. And then the last thing is on the aid to non-governmental agencies. We had been doing a 25% reduction for these non-governmental agencies, so that's one of the things we'd want to consider with the court to continue with that, those reductions, or see what the court would want to do regarding that. As I mentioned, we do have additional documentation on that, more detail on it on the further pages, but we will schedule meetings with each of the court members to go over this in detail and answer any specific questions that y'all might have, and then bring those back for a workshop so that we can have a discussion amongst the court. There's no action needed on that.
All right. Okay, that was 21A.
That's 21A. Item 21B is approval to submit application to the Texas Facilities Commission for the Federal Surplus Property Program to receive federal surplus property with authority for the county judge to sign these documents. This is just an application for us to be able to use the surplus program, be able to buy vehicles or other equipment via the surplus program.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Now, item 21C is approval to pay overtime incurred by the sheriff's office in response to the flood event. Right now, the numbers that we have for the sheriff's office only is roughly a little bit less than $39,000, so we're requesting the court to approve that. That would be paid out of the sheriff's fund, forfeiture fund. We would pay the fringes out of the county's general fund. We do have sufficient lapses within the fringes category within the sheriff to be able to fund that. So we are recommending approval for payment.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 21D1 is approval of 2015 appropriation of funds in the amount of $21,197.14 to fund bond counsel and attorney general fees.
Motion approved.
Second.
I'm sorry, what number is this?
21D1
D1.
A.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 21D1B is approval of 2015 appropriation of funds in the amount of $51,388.88 to fund bond counsel fee and attorney general fees. And this is for 2014B refunding bonds.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 21E1A is approval of 2015 interfund transfer from COs 2006 to COs 2014 in the amount of 14 cents to fund the 2015 interest payment.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 21E1B is approval of 2015 interfund transfer from COs 2006 to refunding bonds 2014 in the amount of $946,075, and this is to fund the 2015 principal and interest payments. These are the 2006 bonds that we refunded.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, at this time, would you like to recess this meeting, open the workshop, recess the workshop, and then reconvene this meeting?
All right. It is now 11:41. We're going to be recessing our regular meeting of our County Commissioners Court, and we had posted a workshop for 11 o'clock. And at this time, we're going to be convening this workshop, which is set for today, involving a presentation and discussion on Hidalgo County Multi-Year Capital Improvement Plan. For the record, the entire court is present.
And now, Judge, you want to recess that meeting complete?
I think we're just going to do the workshop.
We're just going to continue with the workshop?
Well, I think Noe is on his way out. Did you have to leave early?
No, sir.
Okay, that was the wrong answer for you, because now we're going to do it.
I do. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, we're going to recess the workshop and go back to our regular meeting, and let's go ahead and proceed. 22A.
At ours.
Marty?
Oh, they said, Marty, no action, no action, no action, no action.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be great?
Nobody wants to
All
get
right.
paid.
22A, 1 and 2 have been taken care of. Going on to item 3. Request through Walter J. Reyna Incorporated that Simpkins and Associates, third-party administrators for Hidalgo County's 457 Deferred Compensation Plan, needs the county to complete and sign a resource QDIA default fund and automatic enrollment setup and change form attached herein with approval by Commissioner's Court for Mr. Valdeguerra, Hidalgo County Executive Officer, to execute the document as last document signed was with a former member of Commissioner's Court.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item
With Norma.
22A4. This is a presentation of the negotiations to date for an agreement with applicable action, if necessary, for the provision of energy consulting services with the number one vendor, Texas Energy Consultants, for the purpose of securing a new electric energy provider for Hidalgo County to include all applicable and eligible departments, programs, and/or agencies, with direction from Commissioner's Court on the following issues of the engagement. As you know, we have been negotiating with Texas Energy Consultants. First of all, I think we need to narrow down and get direction from the court as to the term of the consulting agreement. There is an initial 2-year term with the county's option to renew for an additional 1 year. Now, does the court wish to go ahead and proceed with just the initial 2-year term, or also add the additional year's extension?
Marty, just a quick question. Once they advise us and we pick up a new electric provider, which would be at the end of the year or the beginning of next year?
It's in November when it comes due.
What's the purpose
The
of?
reason I'm going through this is because I think the court needs to make some decisions. I believe that we need direction as to these issues I'm bringing up to you, because once the consultant's in place, if the court does still want to go with a consultant, they need to proceed, and I'm going to be suggesting further down on that agenda item.
Let me ask the question. I don't think you heard my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So once they recommend an electric provider at the end of the year, then we're gonna then enter into a contract with that provider?
Correct.
What is the purpose of the length of the contract? In other words, is
Exactly.
it the recommendation it?
Because there are services that we did put in the RFP and have been also responded to, that the consultant can monitor the program, can audit the bills as they come in for correctness, and can just keep us abreast if, I have an item there, if let's say there is a sizable dip in the market, right now the market's as low as it's been in quite a while, will he be bringing recommendations to court that we renegotiate and what they call is blend and extend to take advantage? But it would have to be a significant drop. So that's why I think the court needs to decide, do you want that consultant to just come in, put out the RFP for, and I'm suggesting to all types of co-op and aggregation pools, so that we don't have to advertise the project, as opposed to just independent providers? And then, once it's in, do you just want them to finish up that work, make sure that the provider is in, and then, at that point, terminate the contract or expire? So that's why I'm getting, I need some
The
direction.
contract that we're gonna sign with the provider is gonna be more than likely for how many years?
Well, that's what I'm doing. You can do a term depending on the market.
No, the actual electric provider.
That's what I have down here. Do we want to receive the term of the contract to 12, 24, 36, 48, and 60 months?
I got
Now, that consultant will be coming to you and saying, you know, if you take the short-term benefit, okay, the longer you go, it increases a bit, but it's fixed. We are now locked in.
Got it.
One of the things that is going to be important for the court also to give us direction, or give the consultant direction, is we had, one of the things, like if you go with the state agency like GLO, which is what we have now, there are provisions in there that make it very difficult to terminate. But I think that after going to a seminar this summer, I think there are provisions they are now willing, because I think they've had the same complaint from other political subdivisions, that they may want to be a little more flexible in what would trigger an ability to either not terminate necessarily, but if there's a drop of a certain cap on a percentage, would they be willing to renegotiate? So those are all things that I thought was important for the court to give me direction on.
I mean, right now, because of the low interest rates and low cost of fuel, et cetera.
Right, the market is as attractive.
So the longer we tie it down for, it sounds like that would be the best way to
Oh,
go.
I agree with you, Judge, but what I'm saying is, I think that's something that, once you hire your consultant, he will, I'm just putting that consultant, and I'm saying he because right now our number one is the gentleman, would come to you and say, it is in your best interest at this point to go on these months and why.
Weren't we told that we could tie it down, that if we found someone that was lower now, that we could enter into an agreement now for the energy to be provided to us by them beginning in, I think, when, December or January?
It's going to be in November, or I can't remember exactly what date, but it is
But
November 4th.
that we don't have to wait till it expires, that we can tie down and by contract enter into an agreement that they will be replacing our present provider.
No, it is triggered by the expiration of our current agreement.
Well, I know, but we have to wait until it expires, but we don't have to
Oh, no,
wait.
we can enter into an agreement now, certainly.
Right.
Now, what I would like the court to realize, and all due respect to the consultant who's, I know here, and that we're negotiating with, I believe that the court has another decision to make. Does it wish to pay the consultant directly? Which at first the court thought it would be best to have the provider pick up that commission. However, I know that the commission, even though it's disclosed on the final engagement that we have with the consultant, is going to affect that low price. I think that it's going to have to be incorporated by the energy provider in order to absorb whatever they're going to be paying the consultant. So there's an option here for the court to decide, perhaps once I come back and give you based on the direction of the court, what we've been able to negotiate, perhaps the court would rather pay the consultant a fee
Depending on
and then take full advantage of these low prices in the market.
So they're gonna give you two prices, that's what you're looking at?
Well, we do have right now two prices, which I'm not going to disclose because we're still in negotiations. But I'm saying, I think the court might want to consider that.
In case it goes up, keep it the same price. You don't want to go with future prices. You don't know if it might go up your next year.
Right, well, it's going to go up, it's not going
to go down.
Not going to come down anymore.
So I think that the court might, if the money does become an issue, then maybe we can cut back on some of the services we're asking the consultant to do and narrow it down to, putting out the proposal for us, analyzing what comes in, and have him recommend the final provider for the court's approval and leave it at that, or include the services I was talking about. So I just want direction from the court as to how to proceed.
Well, what do you think would help us get the cheaper cost from that energy provider?
To me, it would probably be to pay the consultant directly from the county, as opposed to having it.
I don't think he would care whether it's direct or indirect, as long as he gets paid to do it.
Well, but I think if the court would permit me, I can bring you then two options as a final agreement. One with services that are just basic and some services, and see what that would mean
That would
as far
be
as a
helpful.
fee.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, because right now, it's an unknown.
Right.
Marty,
Right.
that would be helpful.
And that's why I just wanted direction from the court that I proceed with those two types of options.
So one rate would be they paying the consultant and
No,
one rate would be.
what I would suggest, number one, is that the court pay, the county pay. But within that, I could bring you two options. One with basic services only,
Right.
and two would be those additional services of monitoring the bills, of auditing the bills, and implementing that kind of thing. Servicing us throughout the contract, a portion of the contract, no matter how many months there are. So if that's the case, then I'll know A through D, you've given me direction on those. Could I have a vote? I'm getting an idea as to what you...
So move.
Second.
Okay, what is it again? I want to understand it.
I am going to proceed to negotiate with our consultant and produce for you two options for a final agreement. The underlying option is going to be for Hidalgo County to pay the consultant, but there will be two contracts depending on the services that are going to be provided to the county.
All right.
One would be a basic service and one would be a more comprehensive full
All right,
package.
we have a motion and a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item B, it's kind of like the same thing. I did recommend to the court, now it's up to you, I would recommend that the consultant be given direction to secure proposals from every available cooperative aggregation pool or state agency, and thus we would not have to advertise. We would meet our bidding requirements. And from there would be the services that we were talking about.
Well, I don't know enough about what will get us a lower price, but maybe the consultant
There's a
does.
lot of aggregation pools, there are a lot of co-ops, there's a lot of state
So simply your
agencies.
item is just to go out and find all,
Well,
open it up to every.
This will eliminate independents that are not part of co-ops.
Okay.
I just feel, now, if you want to do
Yeah,
that,
you're right.
if you want to, then we would have to advertise. He
Oh,
would
well,
have to
then-
write out the specs.
I know that
Robert's
Robert
right now.
got up and,
The person we are talking about is here.
Good morning, Robert Peña from Texas Energy
morning,
Consultants.
sir.
If the Commissioners Court did want to look at all the aggregation pools that Ms. Salazar was speaking of, certainly those are favorable. That is a pro to the Commissioners Court, but it does eliminate independent companies. Now, some of these co-ops, by nature, also have an adder fee that they may charge as well. Whereas when you go with individual companies, then it would only be a consultant fee if the court went that route, or no fee at all if the court paid directly, or if the county paid directly. So there is a possibility that there may be some additional adder fees, but all that's going to wash out in the pricing, because we will request it for a breakdown of pricing, including down to the transmission charges and other charges. So we can ask them to disclose specifically what's in their pricing, so you can get a better read on how it adds up.
But you do agree that I think the pools and the co-ops?
The pro on the pool and the co-op, though, is that it does, in the interest of time, meet the bidding requirements, and then is able to proceed to capture that low price.
And you
So-
believe
Right,
we'll
to
get the
cap-
best bang
To
for our buck.
capitalize right now, the market's low.
Yeah,
Okay.
to capitalize on that low market, absolutely. Okay.
So move, you need action?
Yes, please,
So
on
moved.
1 through
Second.
5.
those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Going on to item 5, requesting approval to declare the items listed in Exhibit A attached herein, office furniture, equipment, and vehicles as surplus for the purpose of sale through auction in accordance with Texas Local Government Code 263-152A-1, and in the event no bids are received. Oh, I'm sorry, and in the event no bids are received is item B. Could we have action? B would be that they'd be disposed of if no bids are received.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That was A and B, correct? Going to item C, requesting authority to publish advertising for the auction of surplus equipment and vehicles scheduled for August the 12th, including but not limited to seized, abandoned, and unclaimed property or additional and unnecessary.
We'll approve this under B.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item D is ratification of amended Exhibit B by Commissioners Court on July 7th. Regular agenda item A250296, attached here too, reflecting the addition of an item for the upcoming publication of abandoned and unclaimed items, State of Texas, as set forth in Article 18.17 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B1, this is Border Colonia Access Program for Precinct 1, presentation for discussion, consideration, and action on a recommendation by project engineer Tedzi Infrastructure Group to award to the vendor submitting the lowest and best bid and meeting all specifications, that's 2GS LLC, in the amount of $406,722.20.
No.
And this is for road and drainage construction for Delta West subdivision. This is based and subject to TxDOT concurrence and approval of the extension of that program. There were 34 packets requested by vendors, 7 bids were received.
Marty, did you read the concern that we had on that one?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It would be subject to Text dot concurring or approving the extension of
Extending
the date. Yes.
the subject to.
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That is
Item-
subject to text dot.
It is subject to
Right,
Text dot.
subject
That's
to-
what I said on the record.
Okay.
Item B, authority to purchase in-stock item 1, 2013 JD Model 310K backhoe, 1,750 hours, stock or serial number 247724 through Hidalgo County's membership, through TASB Buy Board's contract number 424, as it never has been retailed from awarded co-op vendor Doggett John Deere in the amount of $55,277.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is authority to advertise with approval of plans and specifications developed by project engineer LaFever Engineering and Management Consulting, Hidalgo County's Precinct 1 paving and drainage improvements to Spanish Palm subdivision, including the re-advertising if necessary.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3 would be requesting approval of a professional architectural on-call services agreement with Reich Ogden Figueroa Alex Architects for the purpose of repair renovations, remodeling additions and alterations, and/or building review assessments related services on a per-project basis. And it was secured through the AIA form of agreement, and this is from the pool.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
For Precinct 2D1, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 1 with LNG Consulting Engineers, contract number 046, reflecting the project's title change from Precinct 2 Regional Hike and Bike Project to Precinct 2's Regional Linear Park Projects from San Antonio Avenue to 2nd Street.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is requesting acceptance and approval of work authorization 3 with an estimated cost of $25,414.14 as submitted by LNG, contract number 046, to provide the title policies and commitments for the 37 parcels identified in Phase 1 of the Precinct 2 Regional Linear Park Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Number 3, acceptance and approval of work authorization 4 with an estimated amount of $17,276.11 as submitted by LNG, contract number 125, to provide geotechnical field laboratory and engineering analysis for Hidalgo County's Precinct 2 Eldora Road project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 4, this is pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 262-027C. Notice was provided to vendor RDH Site and Concrete with low base bid figure to appear at Hidalgo County Commissioners Court and present evidence concerning the low bidder's responsibility in connection with Precinct 2's Sioux Road Improvements Project from I Road 3,500 feet east to Raul Longoria Road, bid number 209.
Move for approval.
Well, is the vendor here?
Those
Is
in favor.
It's a public
RDH,
hearing, he has a chance to
No, the
present his
pub-
side.
RDH Site and Concrete.
I'm
I
sorry.
do have proof that we sent it FedEx, we sent it email, and we sent it certified mail and regular mail. I know 2 of those 4, we have confirmation that were received.
Marty, are you looking at D4?
Yes, sir?
All right.
There were 13 packets requested and 7 bids received on this project. Going on to item,
And what action are you seeking?
Judge, if you just state for the record that
Mr. Cecine is advising me that they were met with yesterday with RDH. Do you want to add something to the?
What it is, you want to go, Roy?
Go ahead. No, Commissioner, you go.
No, I was just going to explain to the judge, what it is, Judge, is they were the low bid, and we had a couple of issues with them, and the county had some issues with them, so because we were going to go to the second bidder, we had to provide notice to the first bidder of that action, and so we sent all these different kinds of mailings to them for the court to know that we met with them personally yesterday.
Okay. So they were very aware of
Oh, absolutely.
the, okay. I know they also called our office when they first got the email. I know I have attached to the agenda the FedEx delivery with someone signing for it. So I believe that they're satisfied with your
And
meeting.
who was that low bidder?
They were the
RDH.
apparent low bid, base bid figure. This company had the base bid.
RDH.
Okay. All right, so
But-
do we need action on that item?
Judge, if you can note for the record, please, that RDH site was notified of this potential opportunity to come before the court and present evidence of why they are the responsible bidder.
right, it
And
shall
that
be noted.
they are not in attendance at this time.
All right, sir.
Going to item B, pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 262-027A1, recommendation by Raul Cecin, professional engineer, to award the base bid to Texas Cordia Construction, the responsible bidder that submitted the lowest and best bid out of the 7 bids received.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 5, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 5 with R. Gutierrez Engineering Corporation, contract number 358, resulting in an estimated cost of $23,496 for services under work authorization 12 for the South Fork Drainage Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item number 6, we're requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 262-024A4, a professional service.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is requesting approval to enter into a service contract with FAR Literacy Project, DBA Rio Grande Valley Literacy Center Incorporated, to provide to at least 30 Hidalgo County Precinct 2 employees workplace literacy classes in the amount not to exceed $6,420.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E1, Precinct 4, acceptance and approval of change order number 8 for additional 19 days due to rain days and dry out days for the months of June and early July, contract number 067 with J-Con Construction, as reviewed, approved by project architect of record, Mata Garcia Architects, for the construction of the Lynn San Manuel Emergency Services facilities.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Guerra will do the next item.
Right, 22E2. Acceptance and approval of an amendment to professional services agreement, C14-278-07-29, with George Jaime Salazar II, DBA, Appraisal House. We're deleting the first sentence of the paragraph 3 in its entirety and submitted in lieu thereof to extend the term of the agreement to reflect for a period of 2 years, and this would commence on July 29, 2014, expiring on July 28, 2016. This is for the purposes of appraisal services. It is job-specific, sale of properties within Hidalgo County Precinct Number 4.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
F1 is constables. Constable Precinct 3 requesting approval to purchase through Hidalgo County's membership and participation with the Houston Galveston Area Council awarded vendor Caldwell Country Chevrolet. That is through contract number 11-13 in the amount of $32,000, which includes the delivery and one-time administration fee.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under Constable Precinct 3 again, requesting authorization and approval to purchase one 2015 Tahoe LS to Cowboy Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Silsbee, Texas. Lowest amount quoted was $37,464, which includes the delivery and any other appurtenances fees.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Also for Precinct 3 constables, authorization and approval to purchase two new or newer 2015 Chevrolet 1500 4x4 crew cabs, and this is through Bybor's Country Caldwell Chevrolet Ford in the amount of $61,610.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
WIC requesting approval and acceptance of an assignment and assumption agreement between the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and Hidalgo County WIC program so as to reflect the assignment of the existing educational experience and program agreement from and with the University of Texas Pan American to UTRGV.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
2, pursuant to specifications, presenting a request by lessee to approve second amendment to the newly executed lease agreement between Hidalgo County WIC Program and R Real LLC to reflect the commencement date of the lease as August 1st, 2015 to December 1st, 2015 for the occupancy of the building as necessitated by funding source correspondence.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item H1, Sheriff's Department, authority and approval to enter into an intergovernmental agreement by and between Hidalgo and Cameron counties for the purpose of housing of inmates, including transportation, at $41 per inmate per day for the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office, effective upon execution of both counties.
Move for approval.
Second.
That, we were able to get that negotiated down from 54, which it would have cost us in La Villa, to 41, except we're going to have to pay for transportation to
No,
take
no,
them
Judge,
to
it's included.
Cameron County Jail.
No, Judge, the transportation's included.
It's included, Judge?
No, I don't think it is.
What they modified, Judge, was they were under the impression we wanted transportation to any facility we had inmates at. And it's just between Cameron and Hidalgo.
So it includes the transportation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it does.
All right, well, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, acceptance and approval of to award job order contractor Hercon LLC through the Buy Board's Contract 464-14 in the amount of $40,610.85, which includes installation of a new canopy for gas pumps damaged by storm and any appurtenances as may be needed to complete the project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Acceptance, and number 3, acceptance and approval to award job order contractor Hercon LLC awarded through the Buy Board Contract 464 in the amount of $109,992.71, which includes installation of a new canopy for the mobile units, fencing, but not limited to infrastructure and installation of 2 lights for the parking lot and any appurtenances that may be necessary.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's all I have. Thank you.
This time pursuant to 551-071 and 072 and 087, I need a motion to proceed to executive session.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. It is now
12:10.
12:18. We're going to be in executive session. All right, we're back in open session.
Thank you, Judge. Under open session 25A, real estate acquisition appropriation, the same, there's no action. 25B, pending potential litigation, there is no action. 25C, pending potential litigation, construction defect for project number C-12-028-07-24. Judge Commissioners, I want to refer to item 24. I'm requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 26202484, a professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
24B, requesting engagement with the firm of Atlas Holland Rodriguez for professional legal services representation in connection with litigation, authority to submit letter of engagement specific to pending potential litigation, construction defect, project C-12-028-07-24. Sorry.
Move for approval.
Mr. Guerrero, where are you reading from on the,
Under open,
24A and B.
under 25, right, 24A and B, referring to item 25 C, construction defect.
Okay.
Okay?
25, I've seen the 25C, but the exemptions and all of those.
Item 24, A and B.
And
Okay, I
the
see
law
it right
firm
here.
we're hiring
Got it.
is who,
Thank you.
Mother?
Atlas Holland Rodriguez.
Okay.
I think I need a vote, Judge. I think there was a motion second.
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 Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item under open session 25D, cause number C, CD-0281-B, Electric Transmission Texas LLC versus Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I'd like to refer back to item 24A and B. Item 24A, requesting the exemption from competitive bidding requirements. This is Texas Local Government Code, Section 262024A4, for professional service for the provision of legal service representation in connection with litigation.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 24B, requesting engagement with the firm of Atlas Holland Rodriguez for the provision of legal service representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit a letter of engagement specific to cause number CCD-0281-B, Electric Transmission Texas LLC versus Hidalgo County.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
25E, there's no action to be taken. We'll just proceed as directed. 25F, cause number C7758-14-C, Eugenia Andrade versus Hidalgo County, in the 139th District Court of Hidalgo County, Texas. There's no action to be taken. We'll just proceed as directed. And just for the record, we will be attending a mediation in the next couple of weeks. 25G, claim of American Electric Power Company, Inc. Judge Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $707.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item H, claim of Santana Perez. I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $452.58.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item I, claim of Elida Castillo. Again, Judge Commissioners, would like settlement authority to make an offer in full, to settle this claim in the amount of $15,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And item J, claim of Arturo
Pinzon.
Thank you. Pinzon. I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $1,597.16.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Judge, I don't believe there's any need to go back into closed session or open, so we adjourn and then...
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And can we now open back our workshop?
We're now reconvening our workshop set for today. And the entire court being present, we're ready to proceed.
Judge Commissioners, we requested this workshop. Item 2 is presentation discussion on Hidalgo County's multi-year capital improvement plan, to be able to discuss the status of the SIP loan applications that were submitted earlier this year. Also, the possibility of a new issuance for priority projects that have been identified, and also some opportunities for refunding of some existing debt, to be able to do some restructuring of our current debt profile to allow for some additional capacity. We do have Mr. Noe Hinojosa from Estrada Hinojosa, our financial advisor, will be making a presentation.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, or afternoon. Noe Hinojosa, for the record, with the Estrada Hinojosa and Company. Basically, what I'm taking the liberty of is going over an overview of your debt structure and then how we can go about funding some projects that have been provided to us. So I'll call the workshop capital improvement plan discussion. No action required, as you know. Basically, you have been provided by staff in past months or even a year a list of CIP projects that total somewhere in the neighborhood of about $330 million in general. And then aside from that, we have found that some of you at the precinct level have been attempting to tackle on some of your road needs. So what we did in the last 3 or 4 months, we developed a financial model that would we hope, give you a little appreciation for how your debt will be impacted over the coming years as you go about addressing these concerns. And as you go about taking on these challenges, we came up with a list of items that we thought you need to have under consideration. And of course, the most important thing for you is the continual growth that this county has. It's not uncommon for political subdivisions like yours that as you go about growing in value or growing in population, that the needs become, greater because of the nature of where you live and who you represent. And thus, as you go about setting up your ability to pay in the future, growth on property values is very important. Interest rates is another assumption that we put in play. Today, everything that we're representing to you, borrowing in the future, we're running the numbers at 100 basis points or 1 full percentage point higher than today's market rates. So today, market rate, if you go out 20, 25 years, you should get an interest rate on average of about 3.85, 3.75. We're running numbers at a 4.75, 4.85. And as we get closer to funding for those projects, then we will adapt those rates accordingly. What is our view about interest rates? Well, we think that today rates are still very favorable, but it's a very volatile market. You hear about Greece defaulting. You heard about Puerto Rico having a lot of debt out there. You see issues like Iran deals. All of those issues play a role in the market today, in the fixed income market. So interest rates are something that we're watching literally daily, but for your benefit, monthly. The timing of the specific projects, delay can cause projects to become expensive. It's not uncommon to know that projects, as you go about, delaying them, it will cost you considerably more there. But regardless of how those factors play into you got to continue to have a view of long-term objectives. You don't want to create problems for later. So what we try to do is develop a plan that whatever we do in terms of borrowing, that we all know fully well where we're going to end up with the debt issues. We brought to you back in June that the TxDOT could lend you money over 30 years with 5 years of grace period. TxDOT had a change in leadership. As you know, the Governor Abbott came in. There was a new change in the commission, in the chairmanship, and he's basically asked for a little break to assess and evaluate or reevaluate the objectives of the SIB loan program. Apparently, there was greater demand than expected. Everybody woke up and realized, hey, this is a great program to access to make improvements to roads. So they basically are taking a breather there. In the meantime, you continue to have, needs, and you want to be able to have a plan on how to fund this project. So we're coming up with a different alternative we're going to discuss here in a minute. So the SIB loan, I would say that maybe in another 3 months or 4 months. When I talked to the staff, they didn't give me a timeline. So you need to think or tell us or help us as to whether you think we should proceed with maybe a market offering, a public or an open market offering, versus waiting for TxDOT. So with that, I will show you here in a minute what we have. Then we talked about refunding opportunities, and this is something that we do from time to time. If interest rates are attractive, maybe there's something to do out there for your benefit. Unlike previous refinancings for savings, we still have a refinancing for saving, but I think based on having a better handle of what your needs are going to be in the next 2 to 3 years, I think it's more important to do or consider doing a restructuring so that we can soften the impact on the tax rate or soften the impact on your mortgage payments over the life of the debt. Whatever we do, if we do a restructuring, it'll be contained inside of the original terms, so we're not extending debt. We're not going out there if you have a bond out there with a final maturity in 2028, we're not going to go to 2035 or 2040. We're going to stay inside of 2028. And I'll go over that in a minute. Then revenue considerations outside of the property taxes. We got court filing fees that were adopted by the legislature, and I can't thank the the judge, Senator Hinojosa, I think State Representative Martinez, your staff, Judge, I mean, they were, Michael Leo and Bobby Villarreal, if they're around, I mean, Yolanda, they were just right on top of those court filing fees. And I will walk you through here in a minute when how that's going to impact us. We have a joint workshop next week with the City of Edinburgh. That's an agreement that needs to be put on the table, and we represent City of Edinburgh. I'm very involved with them too, and I think the succeeding pages will show you what I mean by that agreement being locked in here soon. Then we're thinking about restructuring, and then the debt service tax rate, how we manipulate that, and how it can come to our benefit. So with that, those are our considerations. I told you about the SIB, that's page 2, and some of the things that are here. I think what's important for you to know, we came in June and told you then that if we were to go to the SIB window at TxDOT, that we thought that each commissioner can probably walk away with about $8.5 million for road projects. Use those monies as the seed money for each of the projects that you had. You were kind enough to help us at the staff level in describing for us where those projects were. So we thought $8.5 million was a good number for each of the precinct commissioners. Now, if we were to go to the open market, that number cannot be 8.5. It's going to have to be somewhere in the neighborhood about $7 to $7.5 million. And we will do a 2-year financing. In other words, we'll probably give you about $16 million this year, divided by 4, and then do about another $3.5 million next year. And I'll walk you through that as to how it impacts and why it all makes sense. Now, Judge Garcia has told me, no, I want to do this without a tax rate increase. I'm talking about courthouse, road projects, CIP, and it's just very difficult to meet that objective. What we have agreed just in concept, judges, is the fact that I may need a penny and a third to get all this done. I can't get you this without a tax rate increase. So a penny and a third will fund for these projects. We think by virtue of, and that's something that I haven't put my hands on, but we've got to look at the operating budget. Today, you levy a tax rate of 59 cents, and that 59 cents, 5308 is used for M&O, and about 592 is used for INS, or debt service. We need to have that tax rate at 692, just even if you did anything. We sold some bonds last year in 14, and the tax rate for debt service was not adjusted, so that has to be brought up. Doesn't mean that you have to impact the total tax rate, especially considering the fact that you got property values being projected to grow by in excess of 4.5%. So you got to be mindful of how the debt service tax rate needs to be adjusted from 592 to 692. Once it goes to 692, all this debt will be impacted in 17 by a penny and a third. So it will go from 692 to 8 and an eighth, thereabouts, 8 and a quarter. Of course, we're using property value growth in 17 by 1.5%. So if the growth goes up to 4.5%, very likely it will not be 1 1/3 tax rate impact. It'll probably be a penny. So we're thinking a county of this size with the level of property value, a penny should not be that significant of a hit. But nonetheless, that's where we are today when we take all this into account. One important thing, too, when you look at your CIP and how significant it is, I think that the staff had provided you with a list of about $300 million plus in CIP. That included your courthouse at $187 million. That's been adjusted downward to 143 or 145. We had a jail expansion of about 65, 70 million. That has been postponed to sometime in 5 or 6 years down the road. So net CIP, including the voting machines, you had needs of about $70 million. When we came in June, we could actually get you $45 million if we were to use a TxDOT program. But since TxDOT is not available for right now, and now we're going to go to open markets. Instead of getting 45 million, I can only get you 30 million. And this will be funded over the next course of 3 years. So you're taking two little hits. One is on your precinct road, SIB eligible projects, you can't get 8.5. You'll get maybe 7.5. And then on the other CIP, instead of taking 45, it'll go down to 30 million.
No, that
Yes,
drop
sir.
from 45 to 30, is that just an interest rate, or is that because you're not able to wait on the principal payment?
Is because of the grace period of 5 years. If you recall how we were not, in fact, I'll walk you through there, but before I got there, I want to take you to page 4 for the benefit of the public.
If you're going to address it, just skip my comment.
Yes, I will. It'll be right in a second. But on page 4, basically, you have all these bars from left to right. At the bottom, you have 2015, and then at the very end, you've got 2034. All those various colors inside of those bars represent different mortgages or different loans. You got loans that were issued in 2005, go out to 2014. And basically, if you look at the light green shaded 2014, we borrowed the money back in last year in 14, and the last payment is in 2034. So you're going out 20 years. And I only point that out because that's important as we go about issuing new debt going forward. What's important for you is that all those payments pay about $170 million of debt. So when you look at how much principal you owe, it's about 170 million, 175 million. That's your principal outstanding. But you pay it with interest over the course of those 19 years. That little red dotted line, is the equivalent to the tax levy on the 6 pennies that you currently impose on the taxpayer to pay debt. So right now in 2015, look at where the red dotted line is. It's like at about $16 million, and yet your payments are over $20 million. So how do you come up with the $5 million? A lot of it is assumptions on the use of fund balances or your savings account in the fund that is there to pay debt service, and two, projected revenues being conservative. In other words, a lot of times you over levy, and but that number, that dotted line, if you do nothing, if you do no debt this year, if you do not do restructuring, you got to bring in another penny for that levy to go up. So if you go to 16, the bar 16, you'll see how the payments are pretty consistent at $20 million, $21 million from now to the year 2019. In order for you to pay that debt, you got to have at least another penny. So that's why you have to go another penny on the INS component.
Quick question, when you say penny, I mean, could Valde find it somewhere else, or it has to be a tax increase?
No.
He can find it within his operating budget?
That's right. So if remember I was talking to you about 59 cents?
Right.
The objective is to find it inside of the 53 cents. The other 53 makes your operating budget. That's where you need to find the penny. And I was told, maybe Valde didn't tell me, but his assistants have told me, we may be able to find another penny.
Okay, but with that being said, again, and I've mentioned this numerous times, if we're going to find, at the end of the day, whatever the number is, a penny and a third, whatever the number is from M&O, then I've said repeatedly that by finding that, whatever that number is, that's gonna amount to services. There's gonna be an area within the general fund that we're going to reduce by X to find the penny and the third, whatever the number is, okay? So that we don't affect the overall tax rate.
Well, the penny and a third is not coming to play right now.
No.
This is just, right now, whether you do anything or not, you have to adjust that penny.
See.
You knew that last year in 2014?
Exactly, right, exactly,
Yeah.
correct.
We did. For this fiscal year, for 2015, we budgeted $2 million under general fund that was going to be transferred out into the debt service fund.
That's right.
We knew we were going to go out for debt.
Which is
when we were
equivalent of a
doing
penny,
when we
right?
were doing the budget process. However, we had not started that process. So what we did is we budgeted what we estimated to be the debt service payment that we were going to go out for. We budgeted under general fund, under the maintenance and operation fund. Because we can't levy it under the debt service, we can only levy for debt service for debt that we've already gone out for. So we did that anticipation. For this 2016, we will shift those $2 million from general fund over to the debt service, but that's roughly about 2/3 of a penny that we'll be shifting out.
Which is, anything helps. So we will take into account that when they give us at least a 2/3, but hopefully we can get a penny.
I'd just rather you say you need to find a penny than say that we need to raise taxes.
I'm sorry?
I would rather you just say that we need to find a penny than we have to raise taxes for that penny.
I will do that from now on,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner. So go find me a penny if you can.
Go find a penny wherever.
So what's important here is that
Good point.
if you have $171 million worth of principal outstanding, is what can we bring to you now to help you soften the blow of those bars being as high as they are in 16, 17, 18, 19? We believe there's about $40 million right now of bonds that are carrying a rate of about 4.85 on average, and reduce it to a 2.15 rate or a 3%. And though there are savings, they're not that significant. But our objective is to reduce those bars. You know, it's kind of, it almost looks like a water slide at a Six Flags. You know, you just come down, and what we're trying to do is bring that down so that as we go about bringing in new debt, meaning through your SIB loans or open market for SIB projects, your other CIP, your voting machines, and then the courthouse, that the impact is not that significant. So in essence, when we go over to the next page, there's on page 5, at the very top left-hand corner, it says analysis of June 23rd. And what I want to make it a practice from here on, because numbers do change all the time, is to keep it consistent. That's what I presented, I believe, at the last meeting or discussed with staff. That was the most recent review. And then I have a new analysis on July 17. What's important between the 23rd and the 17 is there's a shaded row at the very bottom, well, not at the bottom, but above the footnotes, that said project funds. The very first column on project funds shows 143,636. That's the most recent number we were given by staff in regards to the estimated cost in the courthouse. If you look at the previous page, on page 5, you'll see that number was 150 million. Then as you go from left to right, there's a column C at the top in red that talks about project funds, other debt-funded general fund CIP. I got $30 million in there. On page 5 would have been 45 million. And then SIB eligible and other projects, and it's basically to show you there that I can get you $16 million and then 14 next year from COs for road projects, a total of 30, versus in the previous page, on page 5, would have been 34 million. And the difference is, if you look at page 5, look at the first 5 rows, you had nothing but little lines in there. They were giving us a grace period for 5 years. That was helping you more fund other CIPs, other CIP funding, and not the precinct road funding. That's why other CIPs went from 45 million to 30 million. So now I got to take into account, and it's not in here, something that I was not aware of, that staff wants to do voting machines, about 5.7 million, paying in 7 years. Because if you take 5.7 million, pay it out in 7 years, the impact on debt is much greater. So what I'm going to try to do is visit with bond counsel to see how we can, if we do road projects, how we can blend, for purpose of the IRS, voting machines and road projects together into one security, doing one CO, and making the payments even over 20 years or 25 years, and not 7 years. Because 7 years will really skew your payment in terms of, if you do a $5.7 million note, your payment is going to be close to $900,000 a year for 7 years. And if you do it over 20 years, it's more like $600,000. But the IRS would allow you to blend them if the purposes are differently. You know, you got voting machines and you got roads. Roads can last 20 years in some instances. So at the end of the day, that's the only number that we don't have in here, the $5.7 million. So now, in taking you to page 6, there is a sixth column from left to right that deals with contribution from the city of Edinburgh. That number is about $1,757,000. If you look at page 5, that number used to be $1,843,000. That $1,757,000 is pretty much the same number from year 1 through year 30. If you look at your debt service on the courthouse, the previous column, you start with $9,300,000, then $7,400,000, and then on the back end, you're at $10,400,000. And you ask me, why are you doing that? Well, because I'm trying to walk around that hump of the front years. So I'm going to get more money from the city of Edinburgh on the front end, or I'm going to get an amount of money equal to over the same amount of years, but it's going to mean more to me in the front end. The city of Edinburgh does not need to know what your amortization schedule looks like for all the other debt you have for other purposes. You're using that for your benefit. So $1,757,000 will come from the city of Edinburgh. Now, you're going to have a joint workshop with them next week. At that time, we're going to disclose this to them, and then you're going to know from them as to how they're going to be able to afford the $1,757,000, or if they can afford even less than that. So that's something that we're working with the city, the staff on that.
Noe,
Yes, sir.
I guess a related issue, that there's a general concern amongst the court about the impact that the RMA indebtedness may have on what we're trying to do here. And I know we've got a letter. I don't know if you actually have seen the letter.
Yes.
All right, and it's from the lawyer
Bracewell
representing the
Engineering.
RMA. And they're saying that there's no impact at all because it's not a pledge of the ad valorem taxes or the full faith and credit of the county or any political subdivision of the county or the state.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that lawyer is correct. I know we're having it reviewed by Steve at some point. But in the event that they may be wrong, that there may be a question, maybe not wrong, but that it may be questionable, what impact, if any, would it have on what we're trying to do here?
Well, I think that impact is not going to occur soon enough for you to do what I'm proposing for you to do in the next month and a half or two. But for the courthouse, I really don't even think, Judge, that you're going to see an impact. If they were to default, they're not going to default until maybe capitalized interest is exhausted on the toll road project. So I'm thinking that if they were to default over there, it may be 5-6 years down the line.
No, what he was talking about is, what if that letter is wrong and we are responsible for it?
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying, that's not going to apply to you.
But what
But if he does,
that's not going to affect our borrowing capacity, right?
no. No,
So
but
it's
and if he does, and when he does, it's going to be probably 5 or 6 years on the road because their projections for revenues or for those tolls for that system were wrong. So whatever engineering of their financial model represents, it's not going to be we're not going to see that impact until 5 or 6 years down the road. At that time, what's going to happen is you're going to see people challenging, well, I thought I was buying a Hidalgo County bond. Well, I'm sorry, but you should have known this better and whatever. So then there may be a penalty on your credit, not by the rating agencies, but by investors saying, I don't want to buy those bonds because those guys should have been on top of what the RMA was doing. But that's a real push, a real stretch, and that's going to be down the road. So that's what we meant on the credit side. So for this purpose, I think you're pretty clear. You're still a very strong double A. I need to see how how the county performed or is performing this year in terms of its fund balance and its operations, whether you're having deficits as we speak. So then you got this court filing fee. That court filing fee, we're using an assumption of $1,725,000. Now, notice how those payments are not coming into 2017. We're right now trying to get clarity from our lawyers as to whether you can start imposing those court filing fees as early as September, so that as you go about financing your courthouse, by the time you get to making the first payment on the courthouse, you would have had accumulated a year and a quarter of those court filing fees, meaning that you may have about $2.25 million in there. And what you can use that money for, and I was hoping you would allow us to, is have that $2.25 million in reserve for the life of the loan, so that in case the city has, they're delayed in sending transferring funds, or the debt service funds did not come in as we thought, you can use that as a reserve to help you. But that $2.25 million may be accumulated over the next year and a quarter. Now, that number we think is not going to be $1,725,000. We think that number is going to be more like $1,900,000. So we're using, because it is a revenue stream that we have never really targeted and identified, we are being conservative by 1.1 times. So in other words, we think the number is going to be greater than $1,725,000. So that number is going to help us all along the way to offset the 1 1/3 pennies, if in fact we need that 1/3 pennies.
All right, sir.
And then the following column is the restructuring for savings. Basically, look at the first 5 rows or 4 rows. You got 436 that we will basically reduce your payments by, and then $2,900,000, almost $3 million in the next year, and then $2 million, and then $2,700,000, and $1,200,000. That's in parentheses because that means I'm going to reduce your payments. I'm going to take them out by that much more, so that the impact on tax rate is not the same. But then in 2021, your payments go up to $2 million, by $2 million, and then in 2023 and 2024, another $2.5 million. And so, well, why are you doing that? Well, because I got room in the back. When you go back to that page 3, where all those graphs are, you'll see how those years, the payments are much lower than what they are today. So
How much longer do you think you have to finish your presentation?
We're done, if you want me to. It's $0.01 1/3. And then the last page 7, there's a graph, and that will be your debt. The difference between the last bar at the top and the blue line is basically everything over the blue line is what you're getting from other funds. And then what I need you to consider is at the next Commissioners Court meeting is allow us to proceed with maybe a plan of finance to do a restructuring, since we know what rates are, we know what we believe the courthouse is going to cost maybe this time next year, and try to enjoy interest rates of today versus being exposed to not knowing what rates may be in the future. And then we'll probably think of, I don't know, when were you thinking about the tax notes for the machines?
Not till summer of next year.
Oh, great, excellent. So then we'll work with them on that, and then you need, if you can recognize that I can't get you, the money that you had in mind. You had given me a list of $30 million on page 3. It's only about $16 million that we can get you, and each commissioner is going to have to think about how to pull money from others, how to find other pennies from other sources. That's it, Judge. Thank you again for your time.
No, thank you very much for your very comprehensive presentation.
All right, sir.
So find that 1 penny and I have Valde.
Find a penny, Valde.
Sergio, did you hear that?
Valde has aged.
All right. What's our next meeting, Buddy?
We will be having, Judge, Commissioners, we have a workshop next week with the City of Edinburgh. No, we will have it here because we had already committed here. We will have a limited agenda for next week. and then we'll go back to our schedule, and then that regularly scheduled, we will have at our new Commissioners Court. We are working with Ms. Julia in the audience. We'll be working with Ms. Julia on doing something for the opening of our new courtroom.
So the next meeting is here next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, yes.
All right.
Conmigo tienes.
We're thinking I think we were thinking our workshop next week is at 12. So Judge Commissioners, we were thinking 10:30 for the Commissioners Court because it's not going to be a very large agenda. We just didn't want,
That's on the 28th?
Yes. So, okay, so 10:30.
Need a motion to adjourn?
10:30.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Yes, sir. ¿Qué pasó?
I guess so. Yo creo. I'm not sure.
Oh, bueno, pues get the information, the plan. Oh, bueno. Okay. Mira, tienes que leer todo ese
Ya me lo chingué en los que estaban en executive session, miren. ¿Cómo la pasó? Qué bueno, qué bueno.
¿Cómo está? How's it going? Good?
Todo. ¿De igualito? Ya lo vi. No, hombre, pero como quiera.
I don't want to be here when he goes to 7.
You gotta make some money out of
Ese sí, se probably take the 10-year plan.